I can see me and you, yeah. I can hear you as well.
Thing. There it is. Hi, I'm here now. Vocally.
Shall we start? Well, all right then. Welcome everybody to another episode of Nigh Midnight. We appreciate you joining us again. My name's Elgin. This is my friend.
Jason, me. Hi.
Episode 5.
Cinco. So today our idea
Cinco de Julio.
Yeah, Cinco de July on the 19th or the 20th. Happy today.
It is the 19th.
It happens to be my unbirthday. Make a big deal about it. But yeah.
we're also joined by our friend Drew today.
Yeah,
He's our special guest and expert, I like to call him, in everything.
That's right.
The best part of saying everybody's an expert is nobody has to be an expert. You can just call yourself one nowadays.
I mean, I got Google, so yeah.
Exactly. As long as you have Google or some sort of computer, you're an expert. You're on there. You should post all of your information on every social platform, just like we are: Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all of them at Night Midnight, NIGHMIDNITE. Make sure you guys also scan the QR code there. You can call in, talk to us, talk with us, join the talk, join the conversation. It is a live podcast, meaning you are live with us on the conversation. Anything's where things weird happen.
I believe that should have fixed it. Mine. Thank you very much, Gruben. That the mod. He's one of our producers. Thank
you. Hey, what's going on, Gruben? Good to see you again.
Always. I wouldn't know how to do half of this shit if not Gruben 59. I'd have known. From the rooftops and the mountains and the valley, all the way to Shasta, Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
And that's
Shasta.
where, thank you very much. I'm good. You lived in Shasta. I was wondering if anyone ever walked up to you on the street. You're not from there, but you lived there for a little while. Did anyone ever tell you anything? Weird story?
No, but when I started reading about it, it reminded me that yes, a couple people did talk about some of the legends.
Okay.
The most numerous one was about, if I'm pronouncing it right, the Lemuria.
Lemurians, yep.
Yep, it was a town, but I kind of crawled down the rabbit hole and I found out that some archaeologists think it was all a hoax by a man with a totally different name.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the prospectors didn't sell all their stuff to come down with him to an expedition. None of it happened. He was just trying to make money.
Heard a couple stories like the Lemurian story about as they were falling into the water. They found land here or over or there, and then ended up saving themselves. I'm trying to twist that so it's proper.
Yep, and they made like miles and miles of tunnels. It's supposed to be like a 10-mile tunnel down to where their town was underneath the mountain.
Which isn't unfounded, you know. In Turkey, they
No.
found Mohenjo-Daro. They found, you know, in Malta, there's the underground caves. You know, the Hopi tribe talks about coming out of cave 10,000 years ago. So there, if we found a place like Malta, it's kind of there's a precedent. There's a precedent not only in other places of the world, but in the stories of the people here that we should be finding. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
who's to
plus
say it can't happen?
yeah, well,
it's an active volcano, so there's in a lot of active volcanoes still there's tunnels that have been made by the lava. So
even if they all started out as active volcanoes, just those tunnels must be easy to shape. They're already tunnels. Shape them now. You know? I mean, reinforce them or something like
Yeah,
that.
actually, one of the articles I was just reading here off of like Bing, that old search engine, there was a thing talking about how this guy who was 57 had gone into this lava tube that he found up there in Mount Shasta and found the people of Lumeria when he was 25. And they transported him back to a time period that he couldn't differentiate from any other time. And when he came out, he was also known as a person who got abducted by aliens. Pretty interesting guy. He went on to write a book, actually, about his experience with the Lumerians. He stayed apparently a year with them.
Really?
And they taught him, they taught him the ways of Atlantis. And hang on one second, let me pull up the other name of the city. Dwalet Land, Dewlatan, Dwalet Land. It's basically like it's like DeWalt. That's why I love it. But you know, that's just I'm biased. So
where's my impact? It's around.
Right. It's one of those things where I'm like, man, if you spent that much time with that, like people, and he was, I mean, back in those days, I guess he would be like,
okay, I am.
You know, 25, 30 years ago is when it happened. He was saying that he had no cell phone, no way of taking pictures. He was just on a hike with his friend, split off to go take a pee and went down some cave to take a piss and got transported back in time, came back. And he said he came back 10 minutes before he left to take a pee, which is pretty funny to think that he time traveled. Plus he time traveled back before he came. I love it.
They just messed up a little bit when they sent him back.
So he ran into himself.
In theory, he would have seen himself piss, right? Go down in the cave. But that's a whole paradox thing we don't have to get into.
Now, I mean, which is really funny because that sounds eerily like one of the absolute best time travel movies ever made by HBO. Time, one of my favorites. One of the movies about.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Not paying us, but if you have HBO Max, you got free.
Time travel movies are a sticky situation with me. You know how it is.
My mic is super low, I'm told. All right. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me go ahead and figure that out. La-di-da-di-da-da-da-da-da. Filter.
Was there any other places, Andrew, in Shasta that were like paranormal or just interesting, weird places that they talked about?
There's a really old town that almost all the buildings are already burnt down. Whiskey Town. It was connected with right outside of Reading, and everyone claimed there was ghosts there because especially after the fires in 18, when the whole it wiped out even the older buildings. They said like the ghosts would come back. They were angry. Like it just felt really weird walking through there. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I like that idea. Like we were talking about that maybe like a couple episodes ago about how ghosts are around, if it's always like an angry spirit or just something left behind, that kind of an idea. After that kind of an event, like a fire or something like that, I would feel like there would be more of a chance for there to be a ghost or some spirits left behind, you know what I mean? Kind of looking for what they lost in that time or in that event.
I think that ghosts are more like the what are they? What do I think that they are? I think only the living
Like an imprint?
like a footprint, like a psychic footprint.
That's how I look at it, like an energy left behind.
Only the living can make what people think is a ghost. It's not made at death. It's like, that's why I think that, again, we're not talking about ghosts, but ghosts, I think, it's like, oh, you always see them walk down that same path. Not entirely get close to the mic. Okay, just getting close to the mic then. Deedly deedly dee 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 dee. Molto bene. And, yeah, that's why I think they do the same thing over and over and over. They always walk down the same hall. They always do this. They always. It's like,
I think it's one of those things where, like, yes, exactly, stuck in the motion. Like, this is the energy left behind that they not necessarily are trying to find, but like that's the energy that they put out for those last couple minutes of their life. So it's constantly being seen or streamed right there because it was left behind so intensely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like something that you do, like a habit that you would always do, but like that gets left behind because that's something you did so much in your life in that time period. You know what I mean? And
we are getting a little off subject about the weird places, but I guess it is in the U.S.
No, it's all same.
In the U.S., the night walkers, the night marchers in Hawaii, they are said to have walked all around there. You know what I mean? I won't get into everything, but I feel like not all of them died on the march, but they're all out there marching. So I think that it's like a psychic imprint of the action, the repetition that this group they did. You don't run into a bunch of old men who say, I'm a ghost. I got out of my deathbed, and then I started walking around. It's like they're still young warriors who will run into you. That's what they say. So, it's fascinating. The repetition of it makes me think that it's not a disembodied soul, because they might start wandering into different places than the same spot every day. But, that's just what I was thinking. Clicked. Anyway.
I mean, well, shit, I grew up in a town that was right adjacent to the Amityville house. And
absolutely.
Going there, I mean, I won't say I felt anything. I think it was just preconception since I already read about everything that happened there. But it was just really strange to be in a house where so many people got violently murdered.
I believe in that too. Like even though you just having like a feeling, like that energy given off, maybe not ghosts so much, but just such a violent something happened there. Like people talk about that and like going to visit like Gettysburg, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like not necessarily ghosts. They just feel like, holy shit, I feel completely weird walking onto these lands because it's an area where so many people died so violently. And it was such a crazy, thing that happened at that time there.
And yeah. Violence, that kind of big, something deep and meaningful to all the people who were there. That's like part of what I think of when I think of like that kind of thing that can leave an imprint. I
always think of it like as like big emotion things too, like fear, love, all that sort of stuff. Like when you go to like a gravesite or stuff like that, like people say that they can feel their energy of their family members. It's because you love them so much. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's just a natural instinct, like I feel like, yes, you are feeling their love that you felt, you know what I mean? When they were around, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's mindset. I do have that one weird thing. I guess I'll bring it up because I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know about it until like a month later. So my thing, and it is a bit ghosty. It was in Hawaii. I bring up the night marchers because one day I was living in a house and I wasn't drinking that night. I wasn't. I had worked the next day or something. I just happened not to have had a drink.
You say that like that was a forever thing, but
well, because I couldn't explain.
Don't
this
sound like
thing.
An alcoholic, man.
I woke up ass naked, like planking. I was like planking, face down on the ground. And my clothes were like next to me, waist up. I was in the hallway, and like the rest of me is like I was like in the doorway, half in the door. Like you couldn't close the door on me, to the bathroom. I woke up and I'm like face down, had no idea what was going on, and I was, my roommate was a woman at the time, and all I could think was, what did I do? Get drunk? You know, I get up, I get clothed, you know, go in my room, and then I start thinking, what did I do last night? Nothing. I just don't remember a thing. So I wake up and I was, you know, I didn't hear anything about anything from the roommate. Imagine she must not have saw me naked. Okay, fine. No worries then. Then, you know, a month goes by, still not hearing anything. I'm just thinking, I'm a weird sleepwalker, I guess. For the
Werewolf
first
in
time.
London.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm glad I didn't wake up like with a deer under me. You know
Covered
what I mean?
in milk and Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I'll tell you what, on Kauai, wake up like just covered in lychee,
Right? Coconut
papaya.
shavings everywhere. What the fuck
Oh
happened?
man. Well, I mean there are coconut, but man, like that island, any seed that goes into the land of Kauai, it'll grow. Anyway, I get off the subject. So then a month goes by and I'm hanging out with the roommate and the girls live next door, and we're all having some beers on the porch, having a chat, and they start talking about all this stuff about the island, and you know, you hear a little bit of stuff from the island from this person or that person, and randomly they say, oh yeah, something, the night marchers, there's that too, and then they start moving on, and I was like, whoa, what's the night marchers? I hadn't heard about that one. I had heard about the Menehune men, which is kind of like a dwarvish people who had certain buildings, which some geologists would say are natural formations. Other people would say, no, it couldn't have been, you know, it's one of those. But the Menehune men are like these little men, and I've heard about them for a long time. Coming from Vegas, I'd been, you know, it was the Ninth Island. I knew people who were Hawaiian.
Ninth Island, exactly.
Exactly, you know, so I've met people, I've heard some things, I knew about the Menehune, but the Night Marchers was all new to me. And I was like, oh, what was that? And they say, oh, well, the Night Marchers are the spirits of the ancient warriors. They would pick one direction, and they would walk straight over, you know, over hills, over roots, you know, not until they came to the edge of the island would they stop, choose a new direction, and walk straight. So to this day, the architecture on Hawaii is that when you open up the very front door, you should see a hallway, and you should see the back door, or the door to the back bedroom, and there should be at least a window back there. There's like certain rules.
Outside somewhere, right? Yeah.
And the idea is that if the night marchers come in the house, they need to go straight out the house. You don't want them to get lost in your house, you know? And that's the idea, staying close to the mic. Thank you, Gruben. Without him, you know, it would sound like garble, warble, marble, marbles, marbles. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm not going to do that much at all anymore. So I said, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess that would be. And she's like, yeah, and if they catch you, you know, that's one of the reasons, you know, a lot of people go missing on the island. And that's kind of how they left it. And I was just like, okay, well, I mean, but not everyone, you know, gets missing from the island. People tell these stories. So, like, what do people do to get away? She goes, oh, well, there's only one way to get away from them. You're going to take all your clothes off, lay face down on the ground, and then, you know, you might have to piss yourself or shit yourself to, like, truly show them that you are not...
A pure sign of humility.
Yeah, right.
What it is. It's I'm sorry, I'm a nothing. It's you know, these night marchers aren't just the warriors. These are the royal descendant. This is the bloodline. Like, it's honorable. You know what I mean? And I understand. No worries. I didn't know this when I woke up ass naked planking. So now I'm hearing the story. I'm like, wait.
Don't be making excuses for what happened.
I was like, no.
Can't start off by saying I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
I pissed myself in planking. It's fine.
and I was like, okay, wait. Are you telling me? But what about? Let's just say, I asked them. I was like, what if somebody doesn't know about the proper way to get away? What if, let's just say, someone gets off the island and has the poor luck, or gets onto the island and has the poor luck to run into them, and you haven't even heard the legend? And I mean, they got like
They will strip you down,
Well,
lay
got
you on
serious.
your belly.
They looked at me and they said, "You mean if someone didn't know what to do?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh wow, I guess they would take you." And I was like, "Okay." So I don't know, because like I woke up like that, but I wanted to think, okay, you know what happened? They saw me naked. They saw
Made up
me
a
naked.
story.
They made up a fucking story.
Fucking roommates.
They
I
made
love
up a
it.
story so that I would feel like shit and get scared. And then I started doing some research into it. And everyone who the Night Marchers, there is one story. There's either a conspiracy to make me feel like ghosts stripped me naked, like to save me, because my ignorant ass didn't know. My foolish, ass did not know what to do. So they in their benevolence made me forget the memory and fucking took my they probably took pictures of my cock. Who knows? Anyway, I mean,
Either way around, good roommates, if you ask me. Because either way, they either made up a story to make you feel good about yourself, or they made up a story
I
to
can
be
still
funny, and they win.
that these people did not see me naked.
No. The Night Marchers saw you. Everyone saw you.
It was everyone. It's all over.
Everyone.
And that's that story. Hawaii itself too, it's got its own high strangeness. Again, connected with.
I actually heard that story when we were in Oahu. Actually, me and my girlfriend, we went there, and they talk about that story when we were at the hotel Luau. And they're like, yeah, if you ever notice, like you were saying, it's almost like a feng shui thing that they always have a straight shot entrance in and out some sort of way, because they believe in that so much. And if you don't, they'll take like either your kids or take you or something crazy.
I don't know what to think. I wanna. I don't remember getting out of bed that night. I literally have zero memory of any of that. And all I know is I didn't learn about the concept of the Night Marchers till a month later. I mean, if it was a week later still, but I didn't know about it until after I had resolved that I must have sleptwalked and taken my clothes off. Never done this before.
All I know is I'm definitely using that story next time I get too pissed drunk.
It's a good one.
Like, no. I have to do this for the night marchers. You understand? I don't want. This is for your safety. So
You're welcome, everyone. You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah. No need to say thank you. You're welcome.
I'll do it. Fine. But that's one place that has a lot of things. Again, UFOs. The places that have high strangeness, like Shasta, like Hawaii, like Skinwalker Ranch, they have not just ghost stories. They have goblin stories. They have UFO stories, Bigfoot, cryptid of all sorts. Skinwalker, obviously named after skinwalkers, like Wendigos.
I mean, even to go into Shasta even more in depth, like they talk about, there's an article that talks about it being the birthplace of creation, that all these Indian tribes believe that is like the birthplace of creation, where everything came from. Yeah. It's kind of wild to think that, like, everyone always, associates Africa with that, and you know what I mean, like that kind of a thing. But how crazy and interesting of a story would that be if it was in Northern America? You know what I mean?
Cool. I read an article that was saying it was a chief, can't remember his name, but the chief of the Indians there battled with one of the, what do they call it? They have these, the Native Americans believe in like levels, that they came from like a different like dimensions. So they battled an evil spirit of Mount Shasta as it was erupting. And that's how he tamed first people to come through.
Interesting.
Weird stuff.
I like that I think it's the Hopi. And again, I've driven through Hopi territory so many times in the last few years that, it gets very extra interesting. Like I've driven, between here and the West Coast where I'm at the moment so many times that I keep wanting to, stop more and more and more. But I'm like, not this time. I'm not going to spend money or this again. You know what I mean? But they, I guess, have a story about we were saved and brought underground, I think. If I'm butchering the story, I apologize thoroughly. But we were saved by the ant people, and the ant men, and their word for ant is Anu, and man is Naki. So we were saved by the Anunnaki, and it's a really weird thing that around. And someone had brought that up. Not that I believe in that Anunnaki stuff by any means. I find it fascinating that all this stuff popped up, and people find these translations of all these different sorts and kinds. But I think it is interesting that like the out loud pronunciation of like these two giant races on two different continents, you spell it with different pictographs and everything, but if you heard them say it, it would be the same thing. That's kind of interesting. That right there is strange in itself. And even throughout Hopi territory, that's where there's, like the so-called Dulce base, over in New Mexico, Dulce, New Mexico. So all these places of high strangeness have UFO related things. And
there's also an article that they talk about in Mount Shasta that in let me see, I'll pull it up here. 1931, a wildfire swept across Mount Shasta. According to the locals, a fierce fire was stopped by a mysterious mist that came out of nowhere. The unusual fog created a linear demarcation of the fire where you could see the effect of the lines around the fire was curved in the direction of the central zone. And this proved that there was only one area of escape for the people. It's pretty interesting that they think that this mist was because Mount Shasta was stopping, like you were saying, or was stopping the fire because the Hopi Indians had went up there 2 weeks prior to the fire and went up there to do worship. And when they got up there, the fire started out way down in the valley and came up there, and they were the ones that were saved 2 weeks in advance. That's pretty crazy to think like they knew that there was a fire. I'm like, were they arsonists or did they know something else?
There's so many different and interesting things that are, again, that's that high strangeness. Did it happen because of them? Did it happen for them? Was it just the fact that there were people there and something about their campfire was slightly changing the air current in that direction, and that's all it took for things to just shift around them? I mean, the Dyatlov Pass, I know this isn't US, but the explanations for the Dyatlov Pass are just like,
there's a lot of different explanations for that.
The wind created infrasound, which drove them insane. So
light, everything.
All right. So nature can just say, I'm gonna make you kill yourself right now.
But wasn't it? It was like a subsonic.
Yeah, it's a subsonic sound that literally drove them nuts. Yeah, infrasound that made them rip out of their tents.
That's
supposedly,
one idea. Yeah,
the wind blowing up through the ice. That's one idea. The other idea
but why
is
would they rip them apart?
Like,
it was so weird.
If you're going insane,
like,
some of them
rip them apart,
and not all of them.
I mean, I guess if the sound is in your head and you're trying to dig it out, you've got to get it away from you. If it's coming from outside, but it's inside.
That's a personality flaw. You're saying
it's got to feel.
But how strong would that
be? I try to put my mind in it. I try to put my mind there, and it's like I don't know what it is. Exactly. So I don't know. Because like I go a little bit extra crazy because again I don't know what the hell it is. Infrasound. The sound for hell, fuck's sake.
There's even stories too in Mount Shasta of a kid in 2011. He's a 5-year-old kid, vanished for 5 hours and then reappeared as if nothing happened.
Yeah, he reappeared
that's
like
insane.
Behind everybody.
Reappeared like behind where they were searching. Like he just vanished into thin air. Excuse me, and then came back out of nowhere.
Yeah. The one guy thinks he met the Count of Saint Germain. He was a theosophist, I believe.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that one. I mean, Count of Saint Germain himself is always fascinating, but then apparently to say he made it all the way over here, and then.
Well, the guy made his own religious movement after that. It's like this.
I am movement. Yeah. I mean.
It's a good tax write-off, I hear.
I think someone once said it's where all the real money's at. I don't remember who it was, but I think they did all right.
I'm not saying, but I'm going to be driving a Cadillac next year because all good pastors drive a Cadillac.
All I'm saying is in the volcanoes. Again, volcanoes, Shasta. Hey, anyway.
It's gonna blow one of these years.
They've been saying that about Yellowstone.
It's gonna annihilate that area, and I'll be okay with it.
They say
it's not dormant; it is continually active volcano.
Yeah.
So you never know.
I think that it had some lava flow or it was catching fire. Bree needs sleep. I'm not sure. Possibly. Very likely Bree needs sleep. I believe you are correct. But yeah, so I think that's where the fire was coming from, you know, underground and everything. And I think that Brendan Fraser still is going to go under there and save us all. I'm glad that he's making a
Oh,
comeback
good old
act.
Brendan Fraser.
I'm serious. Like, you know, he never should have left.
The guy has
acting.
the
He's-
the worst fucking luck when it comes to anything.
Honestly.
Dude.
I mean, when you find everything out, yeah, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
damn. But I mean, always one of my favorites. Like, you know, I don't know. Even at some point when I thought I had to think, it was like, oh, damn, guilty pleasure to fucking watch a Brendan Fraser movie. The Mummy, no, it was good. Not the third one, but you know, the other two were good.
Entertaining
Not the
nonetheless.
third one.
Not the third, no.
It's kind of. I don't know what it is. It's just. It's
George of the Jungle.
Exactly,
No,
Ruben.
oh,
George of
yeah.
the Jungle.
nice. They did have that
Live action Jim that was.
I liked that. And didn't they do a sequel? Leslie Mann. Wasn't Leslie Mann? She became Judd Apatow's wife? Yeah. Judd Apatow's the husband? I think so. And fucking French toast, right? So, yeah, George of the Jungle. Prelude to the 40-Year-Old Virgin. It was a good one. All things of high strangeness. Can you imagine living in the jungle and having a talking gorilla, or feeling like the gorilla's smarter than you? George knew the gorilla was smarter than him.
I think it would freak me out more if the monkey knew sign language for some reason. Like, just start like come on, Congo. That'd be so good.
Project X, right? With Matthew Broderick.
that one hits me right in the feels.
Oh man,
The Congo, man.
Congo. Oh man, you know, stop eating my sesame cake.
The lost city of Zinj.
I just
Hell
love
yeah.
it. Delroy Lindo,
So good.
one of the
Malka.
best actors of all time. And Tim Curry.
Oh, he was so good.
What a great cast.
He plays in so many funny movies too that
Who?
you wouldn't
Tim Curry
expect him
or
to.
Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
He has funny movies that are actually hilarious
Yeah.
that he's in, and he plays such a like evil character in some other ones.
He's
Where you're
so
like,
good.
there's no way this guy's gonna be funny. And then it's like, damn, he's such a good actor, man.
He's amazing. I don't know. Gone in 60 Seconds. It blew me away. I mean, you know what he does? He does that thing like Clancy Brown does it too, where all of a sudden, you know, and yeah, they'll change the lights and they'll help out in a lot of ways with stuff on set, but then just the way they can go from a mood and then just the way they change their face and you're just like, ha ha, carnival, Satan's here, and you're just like, you feel it, you know, like the way they can change the mood of your whole life with a look. It's insane. Like they're powerful emoters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the way they do that. I mean, yeah. Clancy Brown, another one. If you haven't watched Carnival, watch it. And HBO. It's been 20 years, so we need season 3. Come on, do it. Did it for
Even Ernie Hudson, I loved him in that movie too, in Congo.
in Congo. Ernie Hudson, he is phenomenal. You know, I really liked him in Grace and Frankie. I was watching that one too. I was like, yeah, get it, Lily Tomlin. Anyway, that is a funny show. High Strangeness. Me, 36
Right?
years old, love that Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin stuff. Can you believe it? Sam Waterston and Martin Sheen. Those scamps. Oh man, the show's funny. I didn't watch like the last like 2 or 3 seasons. They went boom. Here's 3 more. I was like, If you're just joining us, we're talking about really strange things and places in America, and trying to stay in America, but you know, makes you think about, you know, places, you know, like Dyatlov Pass. But we're not talking about that anymore. Stop it, Agent.
No, I mean even like Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
I watched that. I watched the new the new Netflix series. Kind of boring, but
I think that was on.
I did enjoy
the
it.
History Channel first, I believe. I think that was a History
It was,
Channel
yeah.
show.
It's
Okay.
History Channel, and
Yeah.
then they put it on Netflix, which I didn't mind it so much. It was a little bit slow. We were talking about it off show. It kind of reminded me of Oak Island, but Oak Island was even better just because I don't know. Maybe I'm just more into the whole pirate idea.
Yeah, I felt like
that's a cool thing.
Really good job of building the suspense with Oak Island, even when
it made you want to watch next episode because you're like, oh my god, they're gonna find it this time. Yeah, and it was like, nope, never. We never find it.
Yeah, it's like, well, technically it is old, but from 100 years after the time period, we think that gives a shit damn matter.
It does that whole the Lost. Remember that series where it's like, oh man, we have another question next time. God damn it! I'm like, if you guys don't just dig up this fucking gold already, I swear to God, I don't care.
I mean, again, we kind of live in a world now where just to be a treasure hunter, like if you're not choosing to go out into the middle of the ocean to try to scavenge ships that have gone down, then the land is likely owned by a government, which means you're not gonna keep
even the ocean, man.
Even the ocean, you know what I mean? Like
if you're you have to be at international waters to not make a claim.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And the danger of being 2-3 miles out, and that's not even where you need to look for the Titanic.
You don't want to find the pirates that are out there. They'll make themselves the captain now.
Man, you know what I mean? I hope that's all. What if it's even crazier and they take you to Tortuga? You got to pay taxes on found
like
treasure.
Ruben said, yeah, you got to pay taxes on everything. Yeah, it's insane. And you have to pay taxes of whatever government is closest to where you are, right?
Well, I mean, and here's the other thing too, what are you going to find? You're going to find something that someone stole from someone else. Oh, look, we found a boat from Germany that has a bunch of ancient Assyrian stuff. Well, guess what? The Assyrian says, thanks for finding our stuff.
Appreciate you. Here's our tax bill.
Here's the address, and you go ahead and pay the postage.
Send us a check, yeah.
By the way, by this date, or else international injunctions and stuff. It's like, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? Like people have been looted forever.
I mean, that's why a lot of like treasure hunters and stuff like that, they don't like talk about where they found it. Like they just dig it up. They dig it up and then they're like, oh, here's some gold we have.
When does grave robbing become archaeology? Ask
same.
Same.
I mean, every time. What did they used to do in ancient?
Well, selling or donating to a museum, is that the difference?
Exactly.
This belongs in a museum. So
what do you think the museum does?
Anyway,
like the museum's free, you got to pay $50 to get in. You know, to even view it. They're like, oh, you shouldn't be selling this. That's wrong. Yeah. Hey, if you want to see it though, it's $50 to get in. And
I mean, I don't know. I think
this is everybody's history, but you got to pay.
It's kind of. It's interesting. It is very interesting. It makes me wonder about what you get out of it. I think that the guys for Oak Island, and I guess good on them because really
it would have to be the discovery, right?
It's just their name in the books, and I get it. I mean, if you watch the show, they give a shit about it. Like their dad reads them on the story or something. It's cool. They're doing it because
I think at some point. Yeah, at some point it's like it's got to be a hobby for them because you're not making no money out there digging up holes and digging tunnels into the earth.
You're hoping you find something so the government
you can pay off
you.
Yeah, so you can pay off some of them freaking bills. But other than that, it's just kind of like, wow, we get the fame of we're trying to find this. We think it might be here.
And again, back to that question: when does grave robbing become archaeology? They used to have unwrapping parties for mummies in like Victorian times,
We'll also think about
the mummy at a party. What is that?
Yeah. I was thinking like, speaking of mummies, like the first person to go, oh, you know what? Let's bust a hole into the pyramids in Egypt and see what's inside of them. Like, what was the real purpose in that? You know what I mean? Was it a actual like history thing? Like, let's learn about the Egyptians. No, it was like, let's see what's inside it that we can capitalize on, get some gold or something in there, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking of, oh, let's learn things on it. You know, there was a video I was watching. It kind of ties into the next subject that we're talking about.
Curses, talk about forgot, you know?
They couldn't read about the curses. Exactly. And there's even like things on top of the pyramid. There's hieroglyphics that nobody really talks about ever. Like on top of all the pyramids, there are hieroglyphics that are basically saying like, don't disturb these ground. And they're like, don't talk about that. Let's bust a hole in the bottom and see what's down here.
What if all this curse was we were really sick. We had a terrible sickness, and if you open up and if you mess with it, the corpse is still infected with the bacteria, and you don't have the immunity. We never got the immunity.
We call it COVID.
You know, that's why we have Brendan Fraser. Benny.
Right? It's a bug. We sealed it in this building. You guys don't open it. I wonder what's inside.
I think Brendan Fraser is going to save us from Hollywood itself. Brendan, if you're out there listening, and I hope you are, thank you.
He is not looking too good, though. I'll tell you that.
You know, but, leave him alone. He looks great.
Hey, I ain't looking too good either, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, that's why he wears a fucking helmet on the show that he's in.
He doesn't wear that helmet. He doesn't wear that helmet.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't wear that helmet. He gets a comb and he just goes like into the microphone. He just starts talking like that, and then the guy who wears the thing. Come on.
I will not believe that.
Speaking of wearing a helmet, did you hear that?
I refuse to believe your reality.
Did you hear that? Din Djarin, Pascal. I was hearing he doesn't like wearing the mask on Mandalorian. Did you hear about that? I don't know if you guys are watching that at all, but
I am, and yes, I did hear that, and I feel like they're going to get rid of him by the by.
I heard that they've already got Carl Urban lined up and ready, and you know,
shit, I'm down for that.
I mean, come on, Carl Urban can do no wrong, and he seems like the kind of guy who'd probably be like, my face isn't enough. Right, you know, like I don't know. He definitely needs to be a Mandalorian at some point in time. Yeah, but I don't know. I do kind of get it, I guess.
Well, when you're an actor, you want to put your face out there. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I feel like in a show like that from Disney, like, do you really think they're not going to promote you? Really?
Well,
you think this is going to be a dead end job for you? You know what I mean?
You knew what the part was. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, would you expect to have a bunch of FaceTime on there? Your character wears a mask, dude.
The first thing I said, and I say it I said it for Hugo Weaving in V for Vendetta, although then I think I found out he came in later, but still, to not show your face. If you're an actor and you are bold enough not to show your face and just allow them, you know, your acting and everything, it's like, that's all theater. Hats off if you got the balls to not show your face and like try to get by. I mean, it's a bold gambit that could really pay off. I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm fascinated with. I've been getting more into Star Wars again lately because of there's so much new content. You know, so much new content, and it's been really good. It's been good lately with Jon Favreau involved. You know, and Dave Filoni. I mean, they're doing a really good job. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of masks, to get back on back on track.
You're right.
The whole thing too about like I was watching that show with the Skinwalker Ranch, and they were talking about like the Wendigo or Skinwalkers actually being part of the Ute and Navajo tribes.
Yeah, like the Paiute
and
tribe,
literally Ute, just UTE.
Just Ute? Okay.
Yeah. It's because all that Utean or Utean Basin is where that is up in Utah, and like that whole area is like a hotspot for a lot of things. Not only just like weird stuff happening, it's actually a pretty big area for Indian battles. It kind of reminds me of like the whole slavery trade thing, where the Navajos and the Ute Indians were like they were friends for years.
Yeah,
and then they got into, well, actually, when they got horses is really what changed it. They started to war against each other, and one tribe started to slave out the other, and it was crazy because after that happened, they were like, well, we're going to curse the land if you keep doing this to our people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once they said that, they're like, fine, the other tribe was like, you know what? Fine, do what you got to do. And they're like, well, we're going to put skinwalkers all over this area and you won't be able to attack us anymore. You won't be able to enslave us. And the other tribe was like, yeah, we don't believe in that. So that's fine. And then all these people, spirits, whatever you want to call them, again, whatever you believe in, started to literally like appear, and all these weird things started to happen after this curse that was laid out by the tribe happened. And that was pretty interesting to me that they kind of talked about it in the show, but they kind of just glazed over it.
Yeah.
And there's a few other articles that go into it where there wasn't really anything going on until after that nation started to tell people. They started like literally telling everyone who came into that valley, like, hey, this place is cursed. We put skinwalkers out here. You don't want to be here.
I like that, you know. I wonder what that means. Does that mean that, you know, it's a curse? Is it all spirit stuff? You know, again, anytime I got really into goblins for a little while, like, you know, goblins and all over the world, you know, duendes or red caps, whatever, or you're from leprechauns, you know, every part of the world has little people, you know. My wife from Africa, they've got, I guess he's like a little guy in like a tuxedo, dressed real fancy. He's called the Rong Shong. Yeah, Hellier. It's weird. I got really into this right before Hellier came out, and I was like, weird, goblins. What's this show about? And it's about synchronicity, weird synchronicities and goblins. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because I've been really into goblins from around the world. But yeah, they got the Rong Shong where my wife is from, and like, you know, just running into him will get you sick. And if you run into these things all over the world, even if it's the what do they got out here? The Pukwudgie, right? The ancient Pukwudgie from like the East Coast. You know, they're around because you either see their small figures darting through, you know, the trees or whatever, or you see lights in the sky, or you see them abducting people, and it sounds like alien cases. A lot of them sound like cases of aliens, you know, and so I got really into it for that, because it seems like goblins and aliens and fae people, fairies and orcs and all these things have a very alienness to them, you know, and so I was looking into that.
Yeah, for sure. Even they're talking. Yeah, even like they were talking about in that Skinwalker thing, like people were thinking that like, oh, there was these creatures that would come down from the mountains that were like werewolves essentially, and would like shred up the cattle and kill off like your family and stuff like that. If you had a new baby, it would like kill off the baby and make it sick, because it would be kind of a sign of you disrespecting the land. And in that show, they were talking about like digging up the land, and how every time they dug up the land, it would make someone sick. And that one guy, there was one person in that show that got sick a bunch of times, and there was all this radiation that they couldn't expand. Yeah,
yeah,
Tom. Yeah.
The younger kid who was getting sick. Yeah.
He had like water, or not water, some buildup under his skin, like that was peeling his scalp. Yeah, peeling his scalp off of his skull, which is pretty insane. And it happened twice. It wasn't just once, you know, which is even more weird, because if it happens once, you kind of go, oh, fluke, whatever. But then he did it again, and it happened again. It's kind of like, well, there's something to that, you know what I mean? Not even supernatural so much, but there's something either or supernatural or naturally that is happening that maybe you shouldn't mess with. And I kind of like how they're kind of going about it both ways. They have scientists there. They also have paranormal investigators, where it's like, hey, we're taking both looks at it. You know what I mean? That kind of made it interesting to me, even though they kind of drew it out a little bit too much, where they're like, we don't know what'll happen. Tune in next week. It's like, come on, just, you know what I mean? We're tuning in already. Just explain it as you go.
How come I'm the viewer and I feel like you have no sense of urgency about talking about radiation exposure on this episode, if next episode you're not looking into it? Get the fuck out of there.
Dude's got radiation burns, and they're talking about it one episode, next episode they're like, he's fine. I'm like, what? Like what kind of radiation is just okay? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they talk about not standing in front of your microwave, and this is new technology, and it's still not good for you to stand in front of it. He has radiation burns, and we're just going to act like, oh, well, he had it, and they're done now.
The microwave thing is.
I know, but I'm saying they talk about that being like a non-shielding. Well, it is a myth and sort of true too, because we don't really know how microwaves.
But
no, like we don't know how microwaves actually penetrate the stuff we have. The shielding that they put up doesn't stop microwaves from coming through your microwave. Glass is not a insulator against microwaves. That's been proven. It's not true.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. You're not
gonna kill you in 5 seconds, but it's also not as good. It's the same thing as holding your cell phone to your head. The microwaves get to you. It's not good for you. It's not something that's good for you. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like exposed microwave radiation.
The sun will give you.
We don't know enough about it. Well, we don't know enough about it to the point where it's like how much of it is good for you. It's kind of like vaping and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's better than smoking a cigarette, but in the long run, we don't have enough. We don't have enough technology. Exactly. Take a puff. We don't have the technology. We don't have enough data for years on years, because that's how science works. Is we go from the past forward and see what's real, and then we know what happened. You know what I mean? In the future, like, oh shit. Back 40 years ago when we started smoking cigarettes, it wasn't good for health. It wasn't good for you. You know what I mean? When they used to have those cigarette ads.
For pregnant women, just smoke one a day. It's good for you and your baby.
It'll calm you down. You know what I mean?
You need to smoke our brand. Our cigarettes are
only ours. Yes,
for the pregnant woman of America. Smooth,
exactly.
Relaxing, so relaxing. Your baby will say, "Ah, thanks."
It'll be easy. It'll be easy for you to pass your baby because he will be preemie.
Yeah. How to make exactly? I worked with someone who said that once. That yeah. It was, she was smoking and she was.
But again, it was
This is that, and I was like, I quit. Anyway.
It's one of those things where, you don't have enough information because we don't have enough years of people doing it to where we can measure and see what the effect is. You know what I mean? Like that guy being exposed to like gamma radiation, like they were talking about. It's like
better now.
Okay. It's like, okay, I look at like Hulk and stupid stuff like that. Like gamma radiation at high levels turn somebody into the Hulk. What at low levels does it turn it into?
That one, though.
Right.
I know. Obviously, he was supposed to be what he was.
Right,
but I'm saying, like
gamma
radiation, they say, is basically poison, and you shouldn't be exposed to it for a long period of time.
The human body's not really supposed to be exposed to too much of any kind of. Too much radiation.
It's radiation.
Even just the radiation. Exactly. Like I was just saying, like if you stand out in our own sun too much, which if you don't stand in it at all, you get no vitamin D, feel tired and get a little bit of sun, but not too much, or else you might start getting check those freckles, check those moles.
Well, they still don't know because everybody's skin is different in that whole thing. You know what I mean? They're still like, oh, you can be out, and if you were SPF before, it was like SPF 5 was fine, and you'd be okay.
Now they're finding out the stuff they used to make SPF out of might have been worse than the sun.
Exactly. Don't use that stuff. It's poisonous. You know what I mean?
That's why you have
one
sunburn.
of those things where it's like, dude, we're all trying. It's kind of it makes me laugh because it makes me think of like the whole COVID thing we were talking about too. Like, we don't really know, so don't just say everything is a fact. Say everything is like we're trying, and everybody will respect you more. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with all of like paranormal stuff for me. Yeah. Like even these places that we're talking about, don't go out and go, these places are haunted and horrible, and you shouldn't live here. Go out and go, hey, we don't know what's going on. We're going to do some more research. People are more willing to take an ignorant look at things and say, hey, I'm ignorantly looking and searching to try to figure out what this issue is, than if you're like, this shit's real. It's happening. It'll kill you right now. Oh, well, not right now, but in 5 months, maybe. I'm not sure. All these, you know what I mean? Just be honest and be like, we're trying to figure this out together.
Have you heard of the Bridgewater Triangle? It's up in like Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And so the Bridgewater Triangle, another place in the United States, place associated with high strangeness, and it seems like there are a good amount of people who are there and doing research into all the weird stuff going on out there, and they also have UFOs, Bigfoots, spirits. I think they have the Pukwudgie, especially. They're in that part of the world where it is, where it's from.
Well, that's why I I respect all these people like Bigelow, Robert Bigelow,
Yeah.
who bought Skinwalker Ranch. He didn't buy it because he wanted land. It's 480 acres of garbage land.
Yeah.
It's not nice pastures or nothing like that. He bought it because he was like, man, I heard about these crazy lores and all this, or crazy lore about all the place.
Yeah.
And I want to investigate it. And then what he do? He created a whole paranormal investigation place for it. And then got the government, instead of using his own money, to come out and investigate it. It's like, man, those kind of people, I'm like, I like those people because they're looking for answers. They're not looking for a monetary gain. And if they happen to find some monetary in it, they're like, well, I'll capitalize on it, but it's just so I can learn more. And it's never like, oh, I want a monetary so I can hold this over everybody. It's like, well, if I find this technology, it's just going to make us all better. So let me do some research and find it. You know what I mean?
What do you guys think about the Academy, to the Stars Academy? You guys know about that one at all?
No, what's that?
Tom DeLonge's project. So Tom DeLonge, do you remember that name? From Blink 182.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
One of the original Blink 182 members is no longer part of the band. He is a full-time owner of a company that is all about disclosure, all about UFO investigating. He's got apparently ex-CIA working for him. He has got To the Stars Academy. Yeah, if you take a look at that, that is something.
Yeah, I'm researching it right now. Actually,
I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what it seems like. I don't know. I don't know too much about it. It seems. I don't know. I was wondering if anyone else knew about it. But if anyone is watching this and you wanted to call in, you can scan that thing on, this one right there. That one right there. And then what that'll do, scan it and then type your name and type a fake name if you want. And then it'll just ask you to speak, and then we'll hear you. And then your voice will come through. You can tell us about your experience, storming Area 51, or when you snuck on the, Skywalker Ranch and the Jedi chased you off. Yep, it wasn't on purpose. So we can do that as well. Always taking calls or emails 9 midnight, and then we might talk to you. We have a friend on right now. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. It's been a while since.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been quite some.
Too long.
Too long.
what do you feel, Andrew, about like the whole Skinwalker thing? Have you heard anything about it, or what interests you about it?
The Skinwalker Ranch is actually newish to me, but growing up on the East Coast, we had a lot of Indian reservations, and it was always the boogeyman, Skinwalkers.
The boogeyman.
So it was something
Really?
Skinwalker.
It was the boogeyman for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it might be different from each tribe, but for where I grew up, it was you became a Skinwalker when you betrayed your tribe. You had to be like a shaman first.
Okay.
Well, really, they said anyone could be a Skinwalker, but usually it was the shamans of the tribe, and they'd get higher on their own power, and then they'd either usually kill and eat one of their own tribe, or just do something really, really vile.
I'd always heard that it was
there's a lot
heavily
of that.
associated, like the Skinwalker, the Wendigo. It was heavily associated with cannibalism. It was one of the ancient, don't be a cannibal, like no matter what, kind of stories. Is one way that I had heard it. Anytime I had looked into it, it seemed like it was heavily associated with cannibalism.
Yeah.
And so that was something that, every society has stories about cannibalism, warnings, even if it's just the witch who made her house out of candy to lure the kids. It's a tale about being wary of the unknown areas, and maybe they eat kids out there. Who knows? But don't walk away from the front door, kids, because who knows what's out in the
It's
woods,
strange to me. They always make those boogeymen, the monsters, so powerful.
Mhm.
They make them where they're. I know for Skinwalkers, really the only way to kill them is you dip like an instrument in ash, white ash, and that's like the only way to hurt them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you dip it in white ash.
Mhm.
White ash from a particular plant?
No,
or?
just from what I've read, you burn when your campfire burns all the way down, just that white ash. You just have to cover your implement in it,
Interesting.
and that's the way to hurt them.
Very interesting.
Great. Now I got to keep white ash in my house. This is ridiculous.
Well, now I know why I've been keeping white ash in the house. Just, in case.
As an American, I feel like if I dip all my bullets in white ash,
Yeah.
I'll be able to, spread those freedom seeds and kill them.
And freedom seeds.
Freedom seeds. Awesome.
Freedom seeds.
It's either freedom seeds or pedophile killers.
Oh, there is that one. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the cannibal dwarves of the Great Plains?
Cannibal Dwarves of the
No,
Great
what's
Plains.
that?
I like the way that sounds.
It's from the Arapaho and the Cheyenne tribes.
Really?
They call them. It's really hard to pronounce. They call them the Tehihan, and they're child-sized and insatiably aggressive.
Nice.
And they want to fight because the only way they can go to their afterlife is if they kill in battle. But then they also eat you.
Very Norse.
Sounds kind of Klingon-ish, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Kapla.
That sounds kind of scary though. It's child-sized man running towards you.
Child-side man, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had it happen, and I'm telling you, I won.
Again, I think this, for anyone who's been with us since episode 1, or maybe it was episode 2, whenever we talked about giants, you heard my theory that there never were Nephilim or giants. The reason why we can't find big skeletons is because we are the giants. That's why we keep finding little things and thinking that we're calling them hobbits. People were finding the humans. All right. Back to weird places. I haven't come up with today's conspiracy. I like to come up with a brand new conspiracy, one that I say is absolutely the new one, and hashtag. Let's see if someone actually does anything with it. We're the Nephilim, we're the giants. That's the one. The corporate caterpillar.
I like that.
Corporate caterpillar. Remember that one, Elton? Corporate caterpillar.
I do. Corporate caterpillar. Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
That was last episode. I like that one.
Chrysalis, maybe. What was that one? We can go back and watch episode 4. Dictate it down, and then I remember.
Exactly. We'll put out the snippet on all the social platforms so people can watch it and get intrigued.
And again. I'm tired. Not. Yes, happening. That will be cutting it out.
I was just reading another thing in the Redwoods of California.
Ooh, yeah.
How they talk about all the people and all the I was gonna say woodworkers, but all the people who knocked down all the trees and stuff there. That lumberjacks. Thank you. How the lumberjacks that died there, died so excruciatingly painful that now they have to go through life or go through afterlife, let's say, haunting people because the way that they died, they only know pain. And so that's why they stopped allowing logging to happen there because so many. Exactly. There were so many weird disappearances happening in that forest that they're like, all right, we can't have anybody doing any more logging here besides the fact that it's good for it.
Timber!
Right.
Man, thank you, Clive Barker. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being what H.P. Lovecraft was trying to be,
Trying to be?
I love H.P. Lovecraft, but man,
yeah, he succeeded. He succeeded.
But it's just how all of his stories are and it was just so scary. I just can't even describe. And Clive Barker can actually describe. That's all True. I mean. I really like H.P. Lovecraft. He really started it all. He just didn't finish any of it.
It's because he wants you to use your damn imagination. He didn't want to spoon feed you.
Scared of the world around him is what it seemed like to me. It's just the mad.
No, he was definitely insane.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he was just agoraphobic.
Oh, for sure, insane. I think it was
pure agoraphobia. So afraid of his own shadow, let alone the people from another country that that they had to be writing evil magic tomes. You know what I mean? They must be. I just,
right, they're speaking in tongues. Clearly I can't understand them,
but of course, do I want a Miskatonic University Letterman jacket? Of course. What can I say? I'm that guy. It's called Critical. Where's another place? Miskatonic. Did you see Lovecraft Country? I would love for them to have a second season, though I don't believe there's any subject material. It was based on a book, but I wonder if there is a second book. It was a great show. You know, the Northwest, that's kind of the Bridgewater Triangle area. Up in that Pacific, up in the original colonies area almost, you know. Why the people talk like this? You don't want to go out into the pet cemetery, no, right? You know, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like ancient, you know. Who knows what's going on there? Salem type stuff. Yeah, like talking about things getting associated with the land. You know what I mean? That's fascinating. It's weird, you know. I don't know.
And it's being to a lot of the forests on the West Coast and the East Coast. Even just going there, there's a different feeling in each place. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, some forests are really packed together and just dark, and even not knowing any of the myths and legends, there's a certain feeling there of just the ancient.
Mm-hmm. I like.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking too, like me growing up I'm being a desert rat. Like even going to Mount Charleston in Vegas was spooky as hell to me. Just because seeing all that forest and greenery and like everything's all closed in, I'm like, this is not how the world should be. I'm used to like vast expanses of sand and dirt, you know, maybe a cactus every once in a while. That when I first went to a forest, when I was in Pennsylvania with some of my family, I wouldn't go in because I was like, dude, I can't see 100 feet in front of me. This is too spooky. You know what I mean? Because my imagination, first of all, allowed me to think of what's in there. Obvious alien, Sasquatch sort of things, you know what I mean? But that's just, it's just a weird thing to me that like that little bit of not being able to see made me like completely afraid.
Yeah. The unknown, even if it's, I'm from Southern California and then I lived in Vegas. Everywhere I've ever lived, there were mountains and hills. And so as weird as it is, one of the weirdest places for me to ever be was Dallas, Texas, because it is so flat that even like I was driving on the freeways and there's no landmarks anywhere. Like you look around, it just looks like the only other time it looked like the world ended just 3 miles any which direction. I lived on an island, you know, and there's no mountains anywhere, you know, or if there's a hill, you're like, oh, now I see the world. Because it's so flat. It was giving me this kind of a vertigo almost. I just wasn't used to terrain that had no mountains at all. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just being disoriented from what you're thinking about.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
You not, being
the first
from a
time
desert and then going into there. Like me, I'm from a place that has mountains. So not seeing mountains is disorienting. Like, I was trying to think of it that way. You're from the desert. So that was
I mean, even that, like seeing that flat land, like when I drove across country, like going through Oklahoma and all that area was like, what the hell? There's hills, but there's nothing to see for hundreds of miles. I was like, it was frightening because again, my whole Jeepers Creepers mindset and imagination got running away with it, where I'm like, dude, this is exactly what they're talking about. Big wheat fields. What's hiding out in the corn, that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, why do they have these places? Whereas the desert, like, I can see for miles. There's nothing out here. We're safe in the desert, is what I'm trying to say. Besides the aliens are abducting us, we're safe, so we're good.
I just keep telling my wife, no matter what, I don't care how cute you think it is. If we are ever driving and we find a town with only children, I don't care how bad we need gas.
We don't need gas.
We don't need gas that bad. I will push. We have to get 1 mile out of town. At least 1 mile out of town. He who walks behind the rows. He walks behind the rows for you too.
I think my curiosity would get the best of me, though. I'd be like, I might drive. Man, I got to know what's happening here. What the hell?
I want to know. I want to know what these things are. I want to see. I want to see something.
I have the search for knowledge, but not the search to get hurt. You know what I mean? That's my mindset.
Because if
I'm also not opposed to shooting a kid in his face. So
sneak up on him. And then you have to
like, that was scary.
Whose fault was it? Should I have been out here? Should he have been sneaking up on me? But
exactly. Keep your towhead children inside. What the hell you got going on here, man?
They're scary. They are very scary.
You knew your kids were scary, and you just let them walk around the streets?
I think I was a towhead kid. wasn't I? Because I had blonde hair. That made me a towhead, right? It's weird.
It does. It does.
It was interesting. I was like a platinum blonde. I was like Cisco. Dumps like a truck. What? Like that as a child. You know?
My buddy Shadow, his kid's hair is like platinum blonde, and every time I see him, he's a lovely kid. I love that kid, but
hi, John.
Man, he freaks me out.
It's funny. Yeah.
I'm like, you are too big to be 2 years old. Plus, you're a towhead. I don't trust you, child of the corn.
What about the something that, since we're talking about high strangeness in the United States, something that I haven't heard of outside of the United States, so I guess I'll bring it up, is the black-eyed kids, black-eyed children, BEKs. Have you heard about these? They are either spirits, or maybe they're young men in black, or maybe they're hybrid aliens, or maybe they're Wendigos, maybe they're skinwalkers who are pretending to be humans to lure you. But anyway, it's children who will be like, knock on the door. Can you please give us a ride? And then they look into your eyes, and it's nothing but blackness. And then it's like, oh, I gotta get away. But people tell these stories. I wonder if it's just part of a creepypasta movement, or thing. He's in the woods and he's tall and he has no face, and and then people are taking things too far. But there are people who say they've run into kids who aren't kids with pure black shark eyes.
They talk about it. Children of the archetype, they're called.
Children of the archetype. Is that what it says?
That's what your black-eyed kids are called. Yeah, it's a urban legend. You don't let them in your house. You don't let them in your car, because they will take you.
They will take you, huh? Well, children of the archetype is what a BEK apparently is. And don't let them in. And they're coming right now. If you're watching this, you are one of the lucky few to find out. The black
Look at your children. I'm just saying, check them.
It could happen, right?
Make sure you're safe at night is all I'm saying.
Any which one of them. What we can do is take the kid and send them somewhere.
Have your child tested is what we're saying.
There's a very easy test. First, you remove the index and the pinky fingers, and you send them to us at
that's too far.
gmail.com. Have to email us these physical fingers.
Too far. A simple blood sample in a petri dish. I will heat up a paperclip, touch it to the blood, and if it jumps out, I'll know.
That's the only test.
And I'm going to go ahead.
It's the only test I can think of that works.
Okay. Now this sorry, I got excited. That reminds me of one of the best compliments anyone ever gave me in my entire life, and I didn't expect this at all. I was at a job, and this is in Vegas. So this guy came into where I was, and he was pardon me, he was an Elvis impersonator. And so as he comes up, and I help him get whatever he was doing, and then he's like, "Do you know who you look like?" And that's never gone in my favor in my experience. And so I just was like, who?
Here we go.
Who? And he just says, "Have you ever heard of Kurt Russell?" And I just went, "Oh,
you bastard."
And I looked around, and it was like the emptiest we had ever
Did
been.
anyone else hear this?
And I looked around, and I just went, there's no one else around. And that never happened at this job. We were always busy. And I told him, I go, "Can you come back tomorrow and say that again?" He didn't.
Tell it to me in front of my friends, please.
I thought this guy's being really nice. I wish, but I don't think I look like Kurt Russell. But thanks, man. Come back tomorrow. Come back every day this week. I don't care who believes it. You're an Elvis impersonator, and you said it. You're supposed to look like that guy. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's going to be the expert, you know what I mean?
He's a lookalike expert.
He's a lookalike guy. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to be like, man, I remember people told me Artie Lang before. I was like,
what? Well, it depends on what decade. That could be either be a compliment or, you know what I mean?
Sorry. I'm like, Artie, you're hilarious. I love you. Wish a different
Artie's the
life.
king. He's funny as
Artie's
hell.
great. Artie's great, but I just hurt.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug too.
I don't want it. You know what I mean? He had to fall hard to fucking find himself. You know what I mean? He wears the scar to remind him, kind of thing.
Gotta reach bottom to bounce back, is what they say, right?
Yeah, and he really, really, really did it. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to look like anyone. I want to look like me, but I think I'm like one of those too average, and I'm gonna get those for the rest of my life.
Standard
you know who
issue
you
white
look
guy.
like? Yeah, you mean that's standard issue white guy? And it's always like that one guy who always wears a hat really like down over his face.
I get anyone that has a beard, like just whoever's popular nowadays. Oh, you look
Generic
like,
beard guy.
Yeah, no, I've got Zach Galifianakis, and I just said cool because I have a beard. Right? I just
What
one
simple-minded fool said that? It's crazy.
One day, well, it was a poofier. It was when it was all, you know, and then one day, I cannot wait till these wispy grays are all over, and people say, "Do you know who you look like?" And I will say, "Who do I look like?" And they will say, "Gandalf the Grey," and I'll say, "Yes." You know, and that'll be me. That's who I want to be, Gandalf the Grey. I want to look like a wizard, and I think that once you look like a wizard, that is when you are able to become a wizard. Have you ever heard?
That's when your powers come out, you're saying.
I think I'm getting more powerful at a younger age, right? That means I'll be overall more powerful at the older age.
Well, that's if you can survive the power that you're gathering now. I mean, assumptionally.
My power level, it's over 9,000. So,
Too much Dragon Ball Z as a kid.
We're
you know
not
what
enough, you know, for the rest of the people, for everyone who didn't understand that, get on it. It's only like
you gotta level up someday. You gotta level up,
right? You know,
you have
branded
to.
clothing.
I mean, I just bought some sensu beans the other day.
No, you didn't.
I did. I have them in my drawer right now.
I want to see them.
Oh man!
Like they're always like, and then 10 years passed in the Dragon Ball world, and still nobody has been making new senzu bean plants. It's like, hey, look, I just have 15 senzu beans over the last 10 years. How come you didn't plant them? How come we don't have 15 fucking senzu bean plants?
Because then somebody can come steal them from you. But if you have them,
no one's climbing
they
Corn's
never
tower.
grow. You get
no
to
one's
keep
going
them.
up there.
They never think ahead. They never have enough.
The future is never coming, is what I'm saying.
I'm so
it's
glad
not
we saved
nigh.
the day. I'm so glad we saved the day. Now, guys, I know I'm gonna work on being, you know, better and stronger in the future, but we're probably never gonna see a bad guy again. So I guess just burn
Can't
the
happen. We just
sensu
defeated the
bean
last one.
fields.
They're gone.
Gosh, all I've ever wanted was a sensu bean. Sensu bean. Where in Florida is the Fountain of Youth? You know, they say it's in Florida, right? Or is
There's
it in the
no
Everglades?
way there's anything good in Florida. Let's be honest.
Nothing good.
I've been there once.
I like Florida for the weather, but there's also that same weather in the Caribbean, so I'll go there.
Yeah, you know, and you also have what's it called, Atlantis and Cuban cigars that are from
It's
the
nowhere near
Dominican.
Florida, trust me. If anything, Florida is the reason why Atlantis sunk into the ocean. They're like, we don't want to be adjacent to these people. Let's get out of here.
I wonder where that would have been. What if Atlantis just was America? How crazy would that be?
What if Atlantis just all of a sudden sprung back up? How badass would that be? Like, oh, hey, we've been down here for this long and we're just checking it out. Now we're back again.
You guys know we pick up your fucking TV signals, right? It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, we saw everything.
It's fucking
you
gross.
you guys are gross.
All right?
Yeah, you guys are gross. Seriously?
When you say reality TV, it's a lie, right? It's ironic. You don't really
You know
live
it's
life
scripted,
that, right? Please say that is not what you act like. That's
You know,
what
Florida doesn't
think
have
you act.
Sasquatch,
Florida,
but they have
the Muddy River or
what is-
the Skunk Ape.
the skunk
skunk
ape.
ape.
Skunk
right?
ape, yeah.
See, here's the thing.
It's so-
This is why I'm not good at like actual school, because I'd be like, oh wait, Florida, which one was it? Skunk Ape, huh? Yes. You know, Zeta Reticuli, binary star system. Anyway, so stupid shit. If it doesn't
Leave it to
if it doesn't
Florida to
matter.
have something not cool.
I wonder what Florida.
Yeah, it just looks so stupid.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, okay, you want a knockoff Walmart version of it? Fine, Florida, you can have it. Whatever.
I mean, and then there's Miami.
Keep eating faces and chewing on bath salts, you guys. Enjoy
that guy
life.
wasn't even on bath salts. They said bath salts.
That's what they said. I'm still gonna say bath salts. I've never had a bath salt.
I've never had
I'm pretty sure if I ate a bath salt, I would feel pretty crazy.
I imagine they named it bath salts to hide something nefarious. I don't know.
I'm just saying, if you've ever had those bath salts in a actual bathtub, you know what happens.
This right here. If you've ingested bath salts and you came out the other side clean,
yeah, I want to know
this, and we're very curious to hear what.
Tell me the dosage.
Yeah, what did you do? I'm not. You know what? If you have a video link or something, I'm definitely interested to see.
I'm pretty sure that's how zombies.
Human flesh. That's the dosage.
Yeah, that's how zombies come about. Is from Florida bath salt exploration.
Did you want to eat the meat? Did you want to char it with mesquite? Roll it into a burrito?
No. You can't cook human flesh. That's gross.
You gotta eat it raw.
It smells horrible. You gotta eat it raw. It's like nigiri.
Yeah. Or sashimi.
Yeah.
My wife thinks I'm gross
because once you cook, it's disgusting.
I like sea urchin. Oh, I love sea urchin.
You're kind of gross for that.
So good.
You're kind of gross for that. Yeah. Depending upon how they make it, but it's kind of gross.
Raw.
I like it raw. I don't want it any other way. I had it. I think someone tried to cook it. I didn't like it. I was like,
poached is delicious too.
I haven't had it poached.
I've never had it poached. Yeah,
I've had it raw. I enjoy it raw. It's kind of like raw. It kind of reminds me of like an egg yolk with seawater, and it's delicious as hell. I don't know, the texture
is awesome.
The texture threw her off. I love it. I don't know, it's phenomenal to me. But yeah, talk about weird things, talk about high strangeness. Hey, look at that spiky thing. Crack it open and scrape the gigagits out.
Right? I always wonder about that sort of thing. Like, what draws people to eat an item? Even like weird stuff we're talking about. Like,
at some point,
who first thought of like, oh, I'm gonna smack this animal over the head and carve it up? You know what I mean?
Thinking that you don't have anything else to eat. Maybe let me try this thing. Oh, holy hell! Is that what's in there?
Well, if you figure like desperation didn't really happen because desperation wouldn't be as bad as what it is. Like, I mean, nowadays desperation isn't a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you move to a new place, yeah, like back in the Wild West days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, all right, if you come from a place where you were always told don't eat this color plants, and then you go to a place where you didn't realize you could have been eating those plants the whole time. You're walking right by food and you don't even see it because you're trained there. Where I'm from, I wouldn't be eating that kind of thing. So your desperation is, it's a person locked in a different kind of a mentality. It's half psychological. It's, trapped in a cave, not realizing there's light everywhere around you. It's like, even
desperation, I guess, would also include, like you're saying, like your area of where you were born. Like, oh, you can't have this because it's not good for you. I mean, it comes down to like even stupid stuff like Mosaic law, like don't eat pigs because we have no way of keeping them healthy or making sure that, you know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing. Like that's the only reason why it happened. And then it's like, oh, well, once it's more healthy to eat, now you can go ahead.
I mean, I think the record shows that we've only been eating tomatoes as a people, as human beings. We've only been eating tomatoes for what, 100, 200 years, 300 years or something? Like as soon
tomatoes, cows are even less than that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but
like we weren't eating.
We were always. They used to think that tomatoes were poisonous. We
used to eat horses before cows. That's the craziest part.
Yeah, we used to eat horse before cows. Apparently,
like we ate horse meat before cows. That's insane.
I'm very fascinated. I really want to go to Belgium because they make their French fries, their pommes frites with horse fat. And
horse fat. Yeah.
I don't know.
They do that in Germany too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. When I was in Germany, they do that in Belfast.
Fermenting beer, so I'm gonna be over there. You know what I mean? Plus, Belgium is the only other country with like they are so on it when it comes to like their UFO investigation. They're just like, and we're not telling anyone what we find, but we'll tell you that we're not telling you. Got it? I love it.
I'm okay with that though. That kind of explanation, like, hey, we found some shit. You don't need to know about it because it's too scary for you.
We found something.
I'd be like, wow, okay.
For us to know. Have a good day.
It's interesting. It's
it.
kind of like the Skinwalker Ranch thing.
Yeah,
Like
Bigelow
he
money.
bought that place.
Mm-hmm.
He found everything he wanted to know and was like, nah, I don't want it anymore. 2016, he sold it to the guy in Utah and was like, here, you can have it. I found everything I wanted to know.
I figured out
and
everything I needed.
The guy was like, well, will you share that information? He was like, no, bye.
No. I made a deal with
it's
the government.
Go
I
fuck
only
yourself.
have to share with them now. Bye. You bought it.
And I don't even have to share with him everything because the way that I set up my the research
find with them too.
Exactly. Now you have to tell the government everything you found.
Like, yeah, we know. Damn it! Why didn't you tell me?
You're gonna be like, hey, we have to post this on a TV show. Yeah, we've known that for 25 years. Thanks.
Old news, bro. Yeah. So funny.
But that's kind of a funny thing too to think about that place, like how many hands that places have changed. It's been like 15 different owners. They don't talk about that in the show, but if you go back and look it up, you can look it up in Utah's county records. I did because I was bored. Again, rabbit hole kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's been 15 different families and 15 different people that have owned that ranch. There was a group of family that owned it for 6 months. Was going to start to build there, and so many crazy occurrences happened that they sold it for $50,000 less than what they bought it for in 6 months. They were like, fuck it, we don't care, we want nothing to do with this place. And it had nothing to do with anything they heard because they were from a whole nother country. They came over and were like, oh, let's try it out, we'll buy this land. And then we're like, everything is wild happening here, we don't want to deal with this anymore.
The story about the cows lining up into that small confined space by themselves, supposedly. Some of these really outlandish stories that come out of
Skinwalker.
Goodness, you know what?
Star Wars head.
Good job, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. You're all I can think about anymore. So anyway,
Well, they were talking about that
Ranch.
too.
Yes.
In Skinwalker Ranch, they were talking about why the I was gonna say elephants, why the fucking cattle were doing that.
Panthers.
It's yeah, exactly. They're exactly. They were talking about why they did that, and they were saying like electromagnetism and stuff like that is making, you know how like animals and dogs, like you have a dog too, Cap. Yeah. Well, actually, Drew, you have one too. Like if you ever notice, like your dog will pace around, and then they always talk about like dogs sleeping north to south.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll always find a certain direction that they would like to sleep because of the electromagnetism of the earth. Like they know the direction that they like to sleep. They're saying that the cattle are even affected by that too. So they were like huddled up against that side of the fence because there was less magnetism or less a field, electromagnetism field over in that area because they couldn't get any further over because of the stupid fencing. And even in that show, they were talking about one time when they were grazing on like the east side that they never seen them over there. And they're like, oh, we don't know what's going on. And then they're like, well, that day when we did all the testing, we found all this electromagnetism. So that's when they ran to the other side, the whole west end of the property. It's like, well, yeah, if animals are picking up on that stuff, which we all know animals pick up on electromagnetism field. If you've ever had your cell phone next to your dog and it starts ringing, you know your dog doesn't like it generally. It's not because of the sound, it's because of the fucking electromagnetism. You know what I mean? Where they're like, what the hell? We don't want to be around that. Like they don't like that sort of a feel. It's as simple as that. Even though that explanation is kind of like, woo, it's so spooky. It's like, no, they can feel those things. They're animals. They run off of instinct and feeling.
I hear of a dog, and I don't know which breed it is. I've heard a couple different things about the Australian Shepherd. One is that they were designed in California more recently, but one is that they've been around, and whatever breed that they take them from to make them, I guess, one of the tribes out here called them the ghost eye dog because they'd be caught, when your dog is just like looking into the corner, like he sees something.
Yeah.
And, I guess maybe my dog, maybe one's similar to it, but they'll look off, and people think that your dog sees the other side or something. Even in some movies they'll put it where it's like, all right, puppy, go tell him that I'm not dead yet, but I'm dying or whatever, I'm stuck in a well. That's something interesting, with animals who have like that a perception of the electromagnetic spectrum. At the very least, that science is saying, right? And if we had that, would we have the ability to see something, else, or would more things appear like infrasound to us? Do we have a limited?
Well, that goes into like
spectrum
this
to,
whole
like,
psychic feeling, I think, too.
But like, what if you see more things, like if there's things like infrasound, a sound that can make you go crazy, then if we saw the infrared and the ultraviolet, would we be able to be exposed to things that visually could give us insanity because of an ocular thing? We wouldn't see it if we didn't see those spectrums, but you know what I mean? Like, if we could hear more,
I think about stuff like that too. Like,
we have more opportunity for like infrasounds is kind of what I mean.
Well, I think about that too. Like we were talking about psychic abilities. Like, if you're more in tune to the earth, like how much more stuff would you really be able to feel and really be able to understand and perceive just because you're more in tune to those feelings? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you really being psychic, or are you just more in tune to all these other things that people aren't? I mean, they talk about like super tasters. You guys have been through chef stuff. You know what I mean? People who can taste like every little bit of everything that you ever put in the food. Like, and then there's people who can't taste for shit. You know what I mean? So it's like,
but the other thing
that's too salty. Well, yeah.
The people who are super tasters, a lot of times they end up tasting. They end up having a problem where they don't like a lot of foods because they're over.
Yeah, because they're over tasting everything.
Over tasting, it's an attack on the senses. They can't handle any certain things, new things, and so. I'm not sure.
But even that, like, just being more in tune to that one sense, you know what I mean? Like, they're super in tune to that thing. So then it's just like a nuisance. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I was looking at, like, being a psychic or being like in tune with ghosts, that kind of a thing. Like, if you're able to feel people's energy, like people that are like, they say that they're mediums. Like, maybe they're more in tune to feeling these energies that are still around, not necessarily communicating.
We give off fields too, so I thought it could be like that. Like, super in tune of feeling another human's field around you, or even when you feel someone's gaze on you. Is it because you're more in tune with when someone's perceiving you? It's very strange.
Is it the energy that they're staring at you, or is it? You know what I mean? Like that's exactly right. Like, again, exactly what I'm thinking.
It's been proven that, when it comes to the quantum level, that you can't get a proper measurement because the act of measuring affects the measurement. Mm-hmm. And so is that why I know when someone's giving me fucking staring daggers behind my back?
But it's weird. It's not even human perception, though. It could be mechanical perception changes it also, which is fucking strange.
Yeah.
Mechanical perception? Indulge me.
Well, if you ever see that experiment where they shove two electrons through, so they have a person perceive it, and it does that weird thing where it splits.
Yes.
And then they have no one perceive it, but they record it, and it does the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why is the act of perceiving it changing it like that?
Yes. Yeah. That's making it so our readings are actually fucked up, huh?
Right.
So it's like, it's interesting, like I'm never gonna get an accurate measurement with this ruler. It's too accurate or not accurate enough, right? Like, how am I gonna make a desk? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole other level of, not the clockwork universe that they thought it was. That like not Asimov, Isaac Newton. Not quite the clockwork universe where everything has like the clear that level is definitely, but ultimately the Hulk's explanation for time travel in Endgame was still terrible. Sorry.
We're not getting into that. No. Anyways, I was going to talk about
Hi, Strangeness.
I was going to say the whole Skinwalker thing. They were measuring the gamma rays and radio frequency waves that were happening up in the atmosphere.
Yes.
And they were at like a mile high, and they were checking that out.
Is that when they were focusing on the place that they thought was like a focal point, like the whole bottom of the U basin?
Yes.
What was like? They thought it was all refracting, and maybe if it all refracted to the point, then so they were looking at there. I remember that.
Yeah, because they were saying that it's kind of like a satellite dish or like a big bowl, and it was focusing right up into a central point right above it. And the interesting thing about that I thought was pretty cool was they're saying that not only like gamma rays, but all radio frequencies were being bounced off of the ground up to there or through the ground up through there. And when I started thinking about that, I was like, man, you know, like satellite dishes, the way they work is they're collectors, right? So they collect everything from an outside source in and then bounce back, not from the bottom up. And I'm like, they keep talking about it like a focusing lens. And I'm like, well, if it's a focusing lens, that would mean that there's something underneath, which they thought there was something underneath focusing this energy upwards. And I'm like, well, if it's focusing upwards, wouldn't that change the angle that it's actually being shot at? You know what I mean? Because as a lens, if it's convex or concave, that changes the angle that it's going to be at. So they just always talk about it coming to this point. I'm like, well, depending upon the shape of the valley, wouldn't that make it change? No, so what he did, he mapped. So what he did is he mapped the valley, and then he said, okay, if you look at the valley like a mirror.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, you can't look at the valley like a mirror because that only works from the top down, not from the bottom up, because it's not a two-way mirror.
Well, if it was a funhouse mirror, right?
Well, even that, if it was a funhouse mirror from the bottom up, it would shine. It would not shine. It would refract the energy down, back down, not up and through the lens. So when they put that in that episode, I was kind of like, man, they kind of killed themselves saying that, unless they're saying it, okay, it's a clear lens and that lens is concave, so that makes it turn it into a point. But when you think about it, that's not the way that lens would work.
Well, I mean, I don't know. And I guess the way I'm relating it in my head, last week we were talking about the James Webb Telescope and how when they did the far infrared pictures versus the near infrared pictures, they did notice that that they were actually able to see like another distant galaxy through one portion of one of those pictures because of the way the wave was working. It actually caused basically a spatial distortion that worked as a lens, and we got to see hella further than the telescope by itself could have done, and we saw a whole galaxy in the background. Is that
even that
we're using talking about, but on like a
sort of, yes,
level?
yeah, it's sort of, but even that we're using a collecting style of a dish. It's not. We're looking through a lens, but bouncing it back through into our collecting lens, our collecting dish.
But I always thought of so it's not, the dish is.
It's
not
like looking through a
collects.
prism. You know what I mean? Like you're looking through a prism.
So the dish was never what collected. The dish only ever caught a signal and it would bounce it back. It was the thing that sticks out, and you know that thing right here would catch the signal and interpret it.
Yeah.
So
no. So
right?
so the dish collects the information,
Yes.
sends it to that central point in the middle of the satellite. But still, the dish is doing all the collecting.
The dish
because
is
without that dish,
collecting.
exactly,
Well,
and then it's focal pointing it.
But not
it's
of the
focal pointing it to that
information.
information.
Yeah. But
right, because if you shot that information into that front point,
so what I'm saying is that
it would be too broad.
Is that the valley itself, unless it's made up of other, right? So are they trying to say that this focal point of energy is acting as, like, what does it mean? Where's the information?
They're trying to say that focal point is being focused. All the energy is going to that point, almost like a satellite, like you're talking about. But the information and all the radiation is going to that point. What is at that point to collect, or is there a reason for that point to be there? Okay. But the problem that I was saying is they're saying that it comes. They're saying that it's coming from the bottom underneath that dish as well, underneath that bowl. And I'm like, if that was the case, the lens would make it go bigger, wider, not focused.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's how a flashlight works. Like if you shine a light from the bottom side of it, it makes a wider beam. It amplifies it. It doesn't make it a focused point. It makes it a wider beam. Whereas if you shine a light into the mirror of the flashlight, it sends it to a central point, makes it like a laser beam. And I was like, man, that was weird that they actually said it like that was a real thing. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me because first of all, the ground isn't clear, so you're not shining any kind of energy through it. It's going to have a lot of resistance, which means everything coming from the bottom has to be way stronger. Which means if you dug further down, the signal should get stronger, right? In theory.
See, I don't know enough about certain kinds of engineering to really have. I mean,
just energy in itself, like energy dissipates the farther it gets away from the source, right?
Yeah.
So if you're saying the source is coming from the bottom up, the further you get down, the signal or the energy should get stronger,
yes.
which it wasn't,
yeah.
which they proved it wasn't.
Okay.
But they did prove that the higher up they went, the energy got stronger. So they were saying, some point out up
because of the focus.
Exactly. Now you're thinking like
right.
I am.
But that's just basic mirrors and magnifying glasses.
Well, maybe because I heard a theory where Tesla was trying to create electricity by sticking rods in the ground, and just the movement of the ground and the type of rock in the ground can create energies like that.
I guess he did that in Colorado.
Like friction energy.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that.
Yeah, I mean it could be, but you would think that if it was
depends on
something
in that land. Yeah,
exactly. The further down or the more close you got to the energy, the more stronger that would get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were going over like gamma and like even AM FM radio waves they were picking up, and they were saying like at ground level it wasn't harmful, but at like 5,000 feet it was so high that it was like concentrated. And I'm like, well, that means it's a focal point. That means that something is at like a dish or something is collecting all that and shooting it to a one central point. That makes sense to me.
I also think it could make sense that if there was ever a meteor impact, some sort of vitrification, that we could have a natural lens creating a focal point that's accidental. I think that just a valley itself, depending on the mineral content, we could have, living in Vegas, that's a valley that is just hot as hell. And you know what?
But it's funny.
It's like it is so. But that's what I mean. Like I feel like just any valley. Like there are certain shapes.
Well, even thinking about that, like every valley,
like
every valley that you've ever lived in is hotter.
Refracting, like if you touch, a white stone in a hot day, it's gonna feel, it's gonna be hotter on the outside. A black stone will be hotter when you touch it, right? And so like, it's gonna happen no matter where you are in certain way. If just certain shapes, certain things interact with the world around us in certain ways. Is it that unexpected sometimes?
I think what you're saying is truth too. Like, so if we take all these values that we've believed for years, like in every valley, it's always hotter, right? Even LA Valley, Vegas Valley, anything is in a valley,
it's hot.
It's hotter than everything around it because the heat can't escape as easily.
Yeah.
Right. So that energy is focused in the central part of Vegas. It's always the hottest part. Everyone knows that the central part of LA always hotter, right? Because all the heat is focused right towards the center because it's a giant bowl, the way that it works. So in the same regards, I'm like, okay, if say for instance, we covered the whole Utanean, I think it's pronounced, or Udian Valley, the Skinwalker Ranch.
I know we're saying it right. I know we're saying it wrong. I know that's not
probably
right.
I know. I probably butchered it. My name gets butchered a million times. People will get over it. But
I don't understand.
but the way that it is like, the way that it is, it's like if it's this bowl in this valley, that refractory idea is held true, right? It's something that we all believe, we all understand. So any energy or any waves that come out of there have to be focused to this central point. It should be a measurable thing where they can actually go up and be like, okay, the valley is this wide. All they got to do is go to all these points in the valley, measure out the angle, and then find that central focal point where it comes to. Which I honestly think, like Robert Bigelow, I think he did. And once he found it, he was like, oh, okay, I know what's up here. I know what happens here at this point. Either it is worth something or it's not worth something. So I'm not going to say anything and move on. And now he's moved on to so many other crazy things like that guy now. I mean, I've done, funny enough, I've done his garage doors. He's a really cool guy. He owns all of the budget suites and all that stuff. He is like a giant land developer. That's where he became a billionaire from. And I've done his garage doors. I've done his wife, all their family. I've done all their stuff. They're really, really great family actually out here. And I'm not biased because
like a nice guy. I mean,
Yeah, I'm biased only because he's an information guy. He is not he's willing to look for the answer and doesn't care how much it costs. He will go
That's what it
find a
seems
way to
like.
spend the money to make it happen. And now he's looking for what happens after life. Once his wife died, like he's like, well, what happens? He's willing. I think there was a thing I saw online recently that he's paying someone a couple $1 million to figure out what happens after they pass away, which is interesting because it's like, how do you get paid on that? You know what I mean?
You get paid on
No, that's a good deal.
I'll tell you
Don't
what.
gotta pay
I
him.
wrote you the check. Why didn't you cash it? Oh, you're dead.
I want to
Too
read.
bad.
I want to read like my contract. Do I have to produce results to like
It's
get
like,
paid?
yeah, send me an MP4 or something back on the way back. But if not, I'm not paying you nothing, dude.
What if you just don't like the answer? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, shit.
Right? What if exactly? What if
That's
the
not
answer
what I
is just
wanted
not
to
something
hear.
you want to know?
Tell me something else. Look again. No, I don't imagine he's that guy, but it's like, that seems so hard. Like, how do you get paid to fucking answer like the question that everyone's asked forever? Right? Like,
I think it's great though. I mean,
That's
think
great.
about it.
I
If you
wanna get
have,
paid for that
if you're
too,
a billionaire, it's kind of like the Virgin guy. Like, he's like, I wonder what we can do,
Branson,
how
yeah.
close we can get to space. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, let's go to space. Anybody can? Oh, I can buy a rocket and do it because I'm rich. No, I'm gonna do it.
I mean, I think that if we had more people who were just willing to put their money toward things like that, we'd probably live in a world that, you know,
I think if the
figure out-
government wasn't so involved
you
with
know?
space exploration for capitalism, that he would be able, him and Elon Musk could just fly to Mars and be like, "Fuck you guys, we're gonna do it." What are you gonna do? What are you gonna say about it?
No, I mean,
And when we
that,
get there,
yeah.
we're gonna take over and we're gonna call it Tesla fucking Virgin. You know what I mean? We're gonna change the name of it. Go fuck yourselves. What are you gonna do about it? Because legally, it's whoever lands there, right? Whoever's first there.
I mean,
That's all the laws work on in the Earth terms. Whoever lands there plants their flag. Yeah, it's known as Mars, but it's Mars brought to you
That's how
by
they treat
Virgin and
asteroids.
Tesla.
Now, of course,
Exactly. It's Mars brought to you by Virgin and Tesla. Enjoy that.
Mars having no magnetosphere is not the place we really want to colonize. You know what I mean? Not until we can like build domes.
But it's not about colonize. It's about who can go there. Obviously, I mean, look at the space wars or space race. You know, back in the days with Russia and to the moon. Like,
Yeah.
if whether you believe it or not, like the race was who can get there
Yeah.
and plant their flag first
That's what it was.
for no goddamn reason, because you can't live there until we find water, which we eventually will. I theorize, but that's just me.
Well, I wonder why we don't see more pictures of the far side of the moon, right? You know, they say that that's where the base is.
It's because it's a machine and it doesn't spin. I'm not getting into that.
It's a machine that doesn't spin. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't me. Episode 5.
Conspiracy
Elgin
Virgin
this
1.
time. Elgin did the conspiracy for episode 5, and it was the moon is a machine.
It doesn't spin. We only see one side of it always. And that side that we see is a projection. So
and it's a
I'm
projection.
I'm just saying.
Is the machine the projector? Can you bring us
Well,
a
the machine
diagram
project-
next week?
Or is it one part of the machine?
Exactly. Drew got it. It's part of the machine. That's how it works.
So then the side that we see is just kind of like it's like the movie screen.
Exactly. It's the screen side of it. You know what I mean?
So what's
And
on the other
underneath
side?
that is the real moon. I've never been
a
there.
real moon? Wait, is this like a real moon? Hang on. So now I'm got this idea about a lightsaber, and the real moon is like the Kyber crystal. Damn it, I'm doing it again. Okay, so
You Star Wars junkie mother.
it's just every episode I like to have a conspiracy theory that we assert is true, and then I like to have tangents.
Prove me wrong is what I want to say.
Call
Call in.
Call
Prove
in.
me wrong. Scan that QR code.
Type your name. Moon Truther. Let us know, Moon Truther. You out there? You out there? Calling you out.
There's got to be someone.
Oh, there has to be.
There better be. I think that if Moon Truther were to come, let us know the truth of the moon. What about Ingo Swann? Ingo Swann said that people were up on the moon. That they're on the far side of the moon. There's a base. You know Ingo Swann? No.
No, I don't know of that one.
Psychic, worked with the CIA. People are like, nah, he didn't. Now
That's
they're
why I don't know him.
now
Men
they're
who stare at
releasing-
goats.
his story, basically, he's one of the reasons why there is Men Who Stare at Ghosts, because like Ingo Swann. I think Ingo Swann is kind of who the Kevin Spacey character might have been made after. I'm not 100% sure. Did someone just try to call in and I miss it? No, because my eyes are right over there. If somebody called in and typed their name and I didn't see it, I mean, I'm looking right at the thing. I'll see it, and then I click a button and send you right over here.
Yeah, text back in, call back in,
and
we'll get you back
and then
on.
we'll do it. I don't know. I might have just been that hopeful. You know what I mean? Like, wait, do I smell cookies? No, because I didn't put it in the oven. That's why. But I smell them now.
At least it's not burnt feathers. That's a stroke, I think.
It's toast. No, I smell
I thought it was
toast.
burnt feathers.
No, it's toast. Closer to the mic, I am. Thank you. And so, not smelling toast is what I am doing.
Burnt feathers, burnt toast, all smells like burning humans. I'm just saying.
And that's what space smells like. They say it all.
Don't ask me
like
why I know
burnt.
that.
I heard.
You're curious.
It's curiosity.
I was curious. Yeah, you find out ways you find out.
Life.
I'm just gonna
Finds a
yada
way.
yada that one.
Finds a way.
Life finds a way. Have you seen New Jurassic Park?
I
haven't seen it yet.
I haven't. You know, I want to.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird places in the United States,
No, really? Don't.
Yeah,
Aw.
don't.
Why is that? What happened?
I mean, it was every scene with the older cast was great, and that's all I'll say about the movie.
really? As opposed to the new Star Wars, where every scene. No. So
Don't get me started on the new Star Wars. The shows are great. The movies are trash. All right?
the shows are doing.
yeah,
the
it
shows
is a
are doing all
letdown.
right. The shows are doing pretty good.
But I also feel the same about Star Trek, boys. So I mean,
That's true. The new Star Trek is fucking amazing.
I'm like, great to watch. Hate the storyline.
Nah.
Man, I just can't believe Anton Yelchin. Man, he was the best part of those movies. It's insane.
He was. I mean, his other movies he did, he was awesome.
He's great in everything I've ever saw him.
Yeah.
in. You know what I mean? I can't think of one thing I ever saw Anton Yelchin in, but I wasn't just like, damn, he's gonna be in that. All right. And then he was doing the voice for that Guillermo del Toro show on Netflix, and then they got Emil Hirsch to do it afterward. Damn. Yoinks. Yeah. Talking about high strangeness. What isn't strange? I mean, I don't know. When you think like this, you know.
You know, one place I was thinking about too in Vegas, well, not in Vegas, in Nevada, they talk about that clown motel. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
Yeah.
So there's like this clown motel way out in like northern Nevada that's like
It's about 2 hours away from here, I think.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours away. It's like one of the most haunted hotels ever.
Really?
They talk
It's
about
frightening to drive past.
Yeah, they say like you drive past it and you can feel it, like how wildly
They're staring
haunted
at
it
you.
is.
As you drive past. I've drove past it twice, and it's like, ugh.
I like that.
I'm not
That's
afraid of
cool.
clowns, but I'm like the idea of that is like holy crap, because there was thousands and thousands of miners that died up there. It's insane.
Not to mention all the aliens and stuff that are like trying to find their spaceship underground when the government's got it there. Right?
Aliens don't bury their spaceship. That's ridiculous.
Bob Lazar
They have
says
cloaking
that
devices.
the sport model one that he was working on didn't appear to be new. It looked like it was found in like a
So what you're telling
archaeological
me is
dig. Yeah, I am.
is that he found a leased
you say first. I
UFO
wanna know
that
who
they
I'm
left
referring to.
behind?
Somebody might have left behind. I mean, a long, long time ago.
They're like, nah, this is the old model. Let's leave this piece of crap here. We'll get the new one and take off.
I mean,
Yeah, we're just a trash planet.
yeah.
Right? This is a garbage planet. You see these people, the Floridians down here. Just
Yeah.
leave it there.
Right? They knew Florida Man was coming even back then, and they said to themselves, "I'm going to leave this ship because it can only do the Kessel Run in way more than 12 parsecs." Anyway,
Oh my god.
yes, sir. Talking about the Kessel Run.
Solo is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I will say that though.
I mean, which I have my
I'm so ready for the next one of that. They're
next
gonna have
one
to.
of
They're
that?
going. Yeah, they're going to have to continue with that. They will. They're going to use a different actor because he was good, but he wasn't that amazing.
I mean,
But I think they're going to have to do either that or Orlando Calrissian
Donald
whole
Glover is
series.
always the best. Donald Glover, always the
Yeah,
best.
once they bust out the
Calrissian.
Calrissian series, oh, I'm in.
Lando
Cloud
I did
City,
enjoy Rogue
come
One, though.
on.
That was good.
Rogue One I liked. And Andor.
Rogue
the
One
new
was good.
show.
They're coming out with the
I know,
new
I'm
one of
talking
that,
about
the
Star
whole
Wars.
series of that.
Yeah,
you
Andor.
bastard.
You son of a
First
bitch.
one's free. Got us all
First one's
hooked.
free, right?
Try a little bit, boys. You'll like it.
Prices went up. Anyway, so yeah, I think that Andor is going to be okay. They got the actor coming back for the prequel. High Strangeness. Everywhere you look, the cantina.
Speaking of strange places like that, and you keep making the mistake of saying Skywalker Ranch, that is one of the most weird places too. If you think about it, all the security that goes around that place,
Oh yeah,
like you can't get in or out of there. Like it is super secure. That place was worse than like Michael Jackson's what do you call it, compound, man.
yeah.
It was crazy secure.
I mean, are you trying to keep people out or keep people in or what is it?
Both.
Both. Huh? There's a spider.
The people that are in there, they can't get out until they release it, and the people that are trying to get in can't get in because they don't want to know about the people that are in there. Simple math.
Yeah. Kill the spider.
Kill the spider, exactly.
Got him.
But yeah, that's always been an interesting thing to me too. Like places like that where they're super secure. Even Skinwalker Ranch, they have their own security led by Dragon. We won't get into that, but like of all nicknames, this guy, pretentious bastard.
I mean, let me just say, Dragon.
He should have picked Lord of Dragons. That would have been cooler.
You know, when I
I'd
think
be like,
about
damn, he's badass.
when I think about a dragon guarding the ranch, I think about a cat with one eye kind of messed up and
With an eye patch, though.
Mrs. Jonathan Brisby, right? Noble that she
Yeah.
is. She's gonna take off. She's gonna take off, and so none of the humans, if they catch her, they're not gonna see that. Rats are wearing clothes. And then she goes, and they catch her. Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
Secret of Nim.
That's right.
Which the sequel of that one is also good too, by the way.
It's but it wasn't made by.
It's pretty good.
Don Bluth. I think I might have done this on another episode too. Don Bluth. That's all. I'm just gonna do it again. Don Bluth, best. All right. You know, Amblin Entertainment. They just ambled their way into taking his stuff, but it's all good. You know what I mean? Thanks. And they didn't do much with it, but it's all good. I like cartoons.
I'm happy for that. Leave stuff alone.
I'd like things to be left.
We don't need any more Land Before Times. I'll say it here first.
Oh my god. Yes, please. I was disappointed as a child. I was like, stop
It's
making
like-
them.
Number
Dude,
one was
after
good.
3, I
Number
was
one
like,
was
this
good, but
shit is
that's it.
retarded.
But we don't talk like that. Why don't we talk like that? Because we're all wonderfully good and happy to love the ones who are the everything we are goodnesses. Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. It was terrible, and you know it. It's fine.
Black Eyed Peas, Fergie, right? Let's get basketball song up in here. See, that's all it was. We can't get canceled, man. Nobody even knows us yet.
Hey, if this is why I get canceled, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'll get a
There we go.
GoFundMe and
Sealed
change
the
the name of the
deal.
podcast. We'll be okay.
GoFundMe. Yeah, I feel like people who GoFundMe is something that I know someone who uses it to help find dogs a home, and that is a very noble and a good thing, and a thing that is good, truly noble, helping dogs finding homes, because they're better than us. You know, my wife says things to me like, you know, when we have kids, you're gonna be such a marshmallow because you're always lovey and singing to the dog, and I'm like,
I believe it.
no. I tell her, don't you understand? That dog is pure. That dog
Innocence incarnate. Yeah.
is truth. Our children will still be a human being, which means they've got the potential for evil. I'm going to
Evil
have
seeds.
my
Yeah,
eye
they
on
have to grow.
them. Marshmallow, nothing.
And don't get me wrong, my children are amazing, amazing children.
Sure.
They're evil seeds. I'm waiting for the atom bomb to explode. I built the atom bomb, and I'm like,
Yeah,
there's a ticking. Every year there's a ticking. I don't know when this ticking will stop.
Each one of his kids are genuine, true, good kids. Like, it's like, damn, They are. Yeah, that's the thing for different reasons too, but truly good. If but they're Elgin's kids, so like when it happens, I'm
Exactly.
afraid for it.
It's gonna be
I'm afraid.
apocalyptic.
What's
That's
it gonna
why I say
be?
it's like the atom bomb because they're so good now. I'm like my parents always
They're
told
just
me
saving
they're
up.
so good now.
They're saving
exactly. They're bottling all this hateful, evil energy,
One day.
and one day it's going to be released, and I'm going to be at the epicenter of it. And who knows what's going to happen to me?
Kamehameha.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go the Kali Ma route.
Yeah, I was thinking more Kali Ma, exactly.
You know, LucasArts.
Or even a big trouble little China kind of thing, you know, shooting lightning bolts out of their fingertips and such. Man, I'm waiting for it.
Best.
so
Mr.
good.
Button.
By the way, they're remaking that. I don't know if you guys heard that too.
Hear
No.
about it.
I'll crush your dreams. I don't care.
No, here's what's supposed to
All right.
happen.
Was that you? What?
Is John Carpenter doing it? Is John Carpenter doing it?
Nope.
No,
he is not.
No. Is it a
It's in
sequel or a
writing
remake?
phase right now. It is a sequel.
Is Kurt Russell coming back? Do they have?
No, he is not. He refused to do the movie.
Is Daniel Wong coming?
Good.
Wait. Daniel Wong. Oh,
Kim Cattrall, I think Kim
Kim
Cattrall.
come back?
She'll be in it. Yeah,
she's gonna go do. She wouldn't do the like.
I think she's doing a cameo
She
in
wasn't gonna go
it.
back to Sex and the City, but she's gonna go to this fucking sequel. The 30 years.
Yeah, she's gonna
later
do a
for
cameo.
fucking 35, 40 years later. She's
Well,
gonna hop into
the whole
okay.
Sex and the City thing was a whole different thing.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
SGP wasn't going to pay her the amount she wanted to make, so SJP, whatever.
Oh, I know.
I know her as Horse Face.
Oh,
I don't give a shit. Cancel me. I'm out.
Matthew Broderick is a
Wait,
great
that's not a horse.
What? How'd that horse shave her hair so
Hey, have
close?
you guys seen?
Talks really
What
well.
was that movie called?
Bro,
What was
that
movie
horse
called
can
with
sure
Matthew
talk
Broderick?
well.
Not the one that everyone talks about all the time, Godzilla. The other one.
I love that movie, by the way, with Matthew Broderick in it.
Do you really?
Godzilla was.
Nostalgic.
I
It's
do.
nostalgic.
I love that one. It's nostalgically CG, shitty
Yep.
Godzilla, and I love it.
I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, and I fucking loved it.
I think
If it was claymation, I would have loved it just as good. You know what I mean?
Hashtag Ray
That's how bad it was.
Harryhausen. Anyway. Hashtag Harryhausen. Ha, ha, ha. Anyway, so
All the new Godzillas hated them.
what? No, I kind of liked what they were doing with their monster
Hated
verse, with their
them.
kaiju verse. You know what I mean? I liked it.
Nope.
It was just done so poorly, the movies, though. It was a cool
Yeah, so
concept, I
terribly
think.
done.
I don't.
It's
think
like,
that
okay,
anyone's doing
we
a
have
great
this
job.
great-
I like the idea. I think that until you get Kevin Feige on the team working on it, it's gonna hard to be doing like long and even him, like, you know, I guess, like, again, sorry, the news came out and that I guess he was telling, you know, Sony's like, hey, slow down, don't make all these announcements yet. It's hard to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to make.
Yeah, but I look at stuff like
the same story of the
I look
same
at like
world.
King Kong. Like King Kong, how many times has that story been redone? And they keep doing it better.
And the last time that they did
Skull
it,
Island, like that was fucking fun. It was great.
and that is part of the new kaiju verse. That's part of those. That was the prequel.
Right,
to
I know,
the
and I
Godzilla
enjoyed
and
those.
Kong one. Yeah,
I enjoy those, and but all the ones with Godzilla, I'm like, I hate these.
I don't know. I thought it was good. Maybe I'm being too forgiving. You know what I mean? But
The
I liked
first
it.
one was better than the second one that came out a couple years ago.
oh, you mean the
That
last
was
one?
horrible.
The one with the
So
one
bad.
with the Mecha Godzilla. You didn't like
Was
the
it?
with the one? Are we talking about the newest one, the American made ones, right? Not the Japanese made ones. We're talking about like
The
new
one
No,
with the
not
girl
the
from
Japanese
Stranger
ones.
Things. What's her
Yes,
name?
yes.
Yeah, the strangest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was bad.
It wasn't that
Terrible.
bad. You know what I mean? It had the kid from Wilder People, right? It had
I kept holding that it was. I kept hoping that it was a porno.
Aww.
I was like, any moment,
All right.
one of these people are gonna take their clothes off
And
and they're
now
gonna start
it's
banging, and it's gonna be okay because then I'm gonna be like, oh well, it's a porno. This is pretty good for a porno. You know what I mean?
And,
Yeah.
and now I guess we're following up with another tradition here on 9 Midnight, which is Elgin personally attacking, you know, me somehow, making my heart hurt.
The dream
No, it
popper.
wasn't that bad. It wasn't so bad as it was just like, hey, did
The
you order
acting
a
or the
pizza?
writing, whichever you
Is
want to
there
call it.
sausage on it? Okay, we gusto.
It was like, let's get this kaiju monster out, baby.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna unfreeze this big old monster I got down here.
Terrible.
Bum 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 bum, and then
Bum, 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 bum. Is that? Are you
bum
doing,
bum bum bum.
are
Yeah,
you
the
doing-
old school one. I did it.
Wait, is that like the Great Outdoors? Bum, bum,
No,
bum, bum.
that's- No, you don't remember the old Godzilla music?
Like the
Dun,
black
dun,
and
dun,
white
dun.
ones.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
black and white. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Remember
That
him
was like
killing-
him coming out of the
remember him
water,
killing
dude. That
Bambi?
was so funny.
Killed Bambi, and then I said, because I was a weird little kid like that. And then you know, the American version starring Perry Mason or whatever his name was.
Ooh, I did like Perry Mason, the show, actually, funny enough, weirdly.
I concur. There you go. You have to use words like that. Concur, concurrent, happening.
It was like
correlate.
Perry Mason was like the M. Night Shyamalan of his era. It was the butler who did it, you know? Some like weird twist. Like, all right, I get it. Fine enough.
You know, as far as like, what do you think? What do you think about M. Night Shyamalan? Talking about weird things. You know,
I dig the way his movies are written. A lot of unexplainable stuff, and that's kind of where, obviously, with our podcast, that's what we like. I like how they leave stuff open where it's like, this is left to your interpretation. Like The Village, one of my favorite movies.
I thought that one was pretty good. My favorite one, the more time goes by, the more I really think his best one is probably the one that people give him the most shit for. I think his best movie is Lady in the Water.
Oh, I love Lady in the Water, though. I like that one.
Love Lady in the Water.
Didn't he get like the worst reviews for that
Yes.
movie? I'm not saying it's bad, but
Yeah,
it's funny how he got
yeah.
such bad
I think
reviews.
Worst reviews, but the more I've seen it, like, and I was like, I watched it and I was like, wait, that's not bad at all. And then I just didn't think about it. Then
Well, part of that is because the generation that it was put out was spoon fed, and people want to know the answer to every little part of the story, as opposed to just using your imagination and letting you run wild with it. You know what I mean?
you know, it's his only happy
I
ending.
did like The Village until I saw it twice. Like the first time,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is cool,"
I mean,
and it just loses all rewatchability.
it really.
Well, if you rewatch it and you try to pick it apart, you can find stuff that's like, well, this isn't explained very well, and then at the end they kind of like, well, did they go back to the village or did they not? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing I like to. I would love to explore, like, later on if they have a number 2, like, oh, life back at the village after they find out that they weren't.
If
You know what I mean?
anything, I think one day he's gonna have. I think he's gonna go like the Kurt Vonnegut route. I think he's gonna make a bunch of these individual stories, and then he's gonna have his, breakfast, on Titan, where he incorporates all of these, stories. And I mean,
Well, yeah.
if anyone likes Kurt Vonnegut, I'm a big fan. And I still don't think I've read everything he's ever wrote, but
I also like the idea of like how like Cloverfield has done their movies. I don't know any of the producer or whatever of it.
Oh, yeah,
but
you do.
I do enjoy Cloverfield.
I'm so happy. Oh, he doesn't know. Oh my goodness, he doesn't know, and that means I
know
get
it's
to
somebody now.
tell.
Now I know who it is.
Now I
You probably
get
crushed
to
my heart.
tell.
I'm gonna log off.
It's J. Abrams. It's the guy that you hate. And Elgin,
Turning off my mic and
Elgin,
camera now.
goodness.
That ruiner of my
Live.
childhood.
Live for years, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone is watching this, my friend Elgin Harrison has been talking shit on J.J. Abrams. By the way,
J.J. Abrams
I saw you
is
when you came
personally
into that
attacking
bowling
me.
alley. Wow, he's doing my thing. Parlay the joke onto J.J. Abrams.
He hates my
Lord
guts. I know it.
Abrams. All right, I'm not happy with what
He's like, oh, hey, do we have a perfect storyline? Let me just fuck it all over for you.
No. He says, all right, here's part of my perfect storyline. I'll be right back. And
He's
then
like,
someone
oh,
else
hey.
has to finish everything he fucking does.
Exactly.
sorry,
I
just-
forgot to finish this. My bad, you guys.
I mean-
just do whatever and let this happen.
and
Let's see
then,
where this goes.
When you walk away, then the new guy who takes over gonna want to make it his own, and so it's not gonna be yours anymore.
I feel like if J.J. Abrams could get with fucking oh my god, I just forgot the dude's name who made Avatar.
M. Night Shyamalan, the one that we just
James Cameron.
Oh my God, wrong.
Cameron,
Avatar.
thank you,
I'm
James
sorry.
Cameron.
I'm not big- I'm not-
If he could get with James Cameron, he could finish a project and make it a actual finalized story. Now, if JJ Abrams had the talent that he had, I think a lot of his movies would be a lot better.
I think that J.J. Abrams comes out with great first starts. I think that maybe even the first. All right, first.
He doesn't have any first starts. Everything he does is a remake, and he fucks it up.
No,
Everything
like
he does.
No, like he started like the first Star Wars, and then we just don't know where it would have went if he was still in control.
I'm sorry, he started Star Wars. I'm sorry.
The latest three for Disney.
No. He took a Star Wars story and raped it to becoming whatever he wanted to be.
Look, again, Disney should have probably just said, there's 40 years of content that
Should be like, hey, James Cameron,
why don't you just
J.J.
draw
Abrams
her?
is fucking this up. We're gonna scrap the whole project and give it back to you. Thank you.
I'm glad that Favreau and Filoni is back in charge. Yes, we're doing it again.
Or Favreau, give it to Favreau. Favreau's killing it. I love the way he writes.
Everything he does. I mean, and not
Killing it.
He has that same element of wanting to be true to the source material and not, destroy the fans.
He pays homage to everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I know why you wrote that in there. That's to play on this. And I love that.
He was, I think it's awesome because, again, he started out as such a fan that he kept doing it. He was such a fan of Star Wars. In the Clone Wars, he was the voice of Pre Vizsla. Katie Sackhoff. Funny enough, Katie Sackhoff has always been the voice of Bo-Katan. And now she's playing Bo-Katan live action, which is great because it's older and she, it's phenomenal. I don't know. I love that. The way they're getting these people.
Again, you got us way off in Star Wars. Again, way off subject in Star Wars.
I did this thing.
You're the worst pusher man ever, I tell you.
I told my wife, I said, hang on a second. I need to focus and try to bring this to me. And I touched my head and I hummed the song. Nothing happened, though.
This is why you can't have psychic abilities. This is why I refuse to allow you to have psychic abilities, because you're not going to use them for good. You're not going to use them for good. Yeah, I see you.
Really?
No, through you. One time I psychically projected the dream, the demon dream, the conjuring dream in the robes. And I sent it, and you know to who. He remembers it. He remembers the dream with the demon robes and the conjuring. No, I do. No, it was him. You've made that up. So it was Drew years ago. Anyway, I don't know. Stupid shit. Long time ago stuff. One time there was a guy who talked so.
But I did have a dream like that.
I know.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Hi, Strangeness. Hi. Bye. Well, I don't know. I guess this has been us talking about this. Any other spots popping up? Immediate of coolness?
The only other one that I can think of just offhand that I did a little research on was they talk about, well, again, a Vegas kid. They talk about Lake Mead and it being haunted in certain areas. And now the lake is like dropping down super
and
far.
Finding all the bodies.
Yep. Yeah, and all the areas that were haunted are where they're finding bodies now. I'm like, holy crap, that is crazy. There's been like 2 bodies found, like 50 boats. It's insane. All the areas that they're saying like, oh, insane. Don't go to this beach.
We've been talking about
they're like, don't go to this beach because this beach and off of this beach is where they would send all the mob people would put all these bodies and bury these boats. And now all these boats are being exposed and bodies and stuff. It's like, is this shit real or what happened here? You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting to see.
I was also,
they even closed down like Boulder Beach. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I was going to change the location though. Andrew actually brought one up to me earlier. It was Roanoke. So the Roanoke colony. What did they type? Did they carve Roanoke or did they carve? What was it?
No, they carved.
Yeah, it's
shit.
I know. Hang on, it's on the tip of my
Croatoan.
Croatoan, and so that was one of the first colonies too. Talking about high strangeness. Still no
Yeah,
one's
so
ever
the
found.
mayor went away for a couple months, came back,
But no,
and everybody was gone, and then that was carved into the signpost out front of the town.
Yeah, sorry, no, and I'm sorry I didn't want to take it away from the Lake Mead, because that one is as local to where you two are at the moment, and I was in Las Vegas for many years. Yeah, personally, maybe it's just bad vibes, but I never enjoyed going to Lake Mead. Never had fun. No, I didn't like it. I felt sick every time I went there.
Never wanted to get in the water because that shit was just gross.
It's the rocket fuel.
It's the decomposition.
Dump too much rocket fuel and the dead bodies. It kind of doesn't mix well.
It's the ectoplasm. It's the ghost goo. You know what I mean?
They used to say in the 60s that the water was flammable.
Gross.
It's frightening to think. Well, we had that what was that place called here? Time-It, that blew up, and that's where they used to make all of the solid rocket state fuel for all of NASA and all the space programs, like in the United States.
Where was this?
They made all the rocket. It was here in Nevada. It was literally out by Henderson. And that's the big thing that blew up in the 80s, 84.
Oh, no, wait. Then I guess I don't remember.
84 is when it blew up.
Caught on fire
84,
like,
86.
20 years ago? Like 20 years ago, something caught on fire? Big pop out there somewhere? No?
I don't know about that. But yeah, this place was literally a solid state rocket fuel producing place. And it blew up and it shattered like windows for miles in the Vegas Valley. Like my parents were here and it happened. I was a baby, apparently. Yeah. I don't remember it. But everybody basically got paid out from the state to fix our windows.
Wow.
It was crazy. But they were, once they found that out, they were dumping all of their stuff in Lake Mead. And then they had to move because the city started to like check their safety stuff and were like, hey, where do you put your waste? And they're like, by the way.
I think in the 1980s, all they would have had to do was get the Planeteers together, and they could have put the powers of fire, wind, water, heart, earth, earth and heart, right?
I hope it's the Don Cheadle one.
That one was really good. Yeah.
That was good.
I love Don Cheadle. He's great.
He is good. And good actor too.
And I hate to say it, I really like, just forgot his name. Sorry, man. But the first War Machine, the first, roadie. I like him too. Oh man, I just forgot his name again. Ah, shit.
Shit.
I know, right on the tip of my tongue. Man. I fucking hate myself right now because he's
on that show on Fox.
Yeah,
what is his name?
Hustle and Flow and a goddamn million other things. He's a phenomenal fucking actor. Why am I not? God damn it.
Terrence
Howard. Thank you. Yeah,
Terrence
I really
Howard.
like him.
Yep.
I really like him. I think he could have been a great roadie. And especially, honestly, they used two soft-spoken guys when I always kind of saw Rowdy, Rowdy as a rowdy guy, right? Kind of like a raspy
rowdy.
Like I can see that Idris Elba could have been a roadie compared to what I
Champion. I love that dude.
I have a hard time not seeing him and everything. You know what I mean? So that's my failing. Sorry, I just want to see Idris Elba in more things. What can I say? Luther?
He might be James Bond. I really hope he is.
I mean, honestly.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Phenomenal.
Awesome. The coolest James Bond ever.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Between him and Jaimin Hudsu, I would love to see him as James Bond. That dude is just so suave. I'm like, he's badass.
Jimon Hudsu. What was the first thing he ever did? Stargate, right?
Stargate and Island. The Island, one of the biggest ones he did.
The Island is way later.
I know. I said one of the bigger movies he did.
Before The Island, he was.
Stargate wasn't that big. It's just big to me, you, and Andrew.
Shaure. Anyway.
If you think I'm not getting a Stargate tattoo, you're crazy.
I mean, look,
it's part of my sleeve I already have drawn up.
You know me. I've got my fascination. I'm a fan.
I just love the idea of having something. Yeah, I love the idea of having to explain to someone like, what is that symbol? Oh, if you don't know.
Oh, those are my chevrons. You don't know what those are?
Yeah, that's Chevron 7. If you don't know that, I mean, really, we shouldn't be talking about things.
Chevron 7 means where I'm sending from. That's us.
Exactly. This is the starter place. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Get all mad about it.
You'll never navigate off this rock. Anyway.
Don't you know anything about particle acceleration? Episode 2 recall, just so you know.
Thank you, Amanda Tapping, for teaching me everything I've ever really needed to know about particle physics and the Air Force. You know what I mean? Because I thought the Top Gun was going to do that, but all they did was show me a movie. They didn't tell me the truth about what's in Colorado and the mountain, Cheyenne Mountain. But that's what I think.
Mountain,
Cheyenne Mountain's got to be another
particular.
weird spot. I mean, well, I think this is kind of winding down because, now we're just finding spots. So I'm going to go ahead and say that'll be probably the business of it tonight. Episode 6.
Yeah, it's a good spot to end.
Right, I've been me, and Elgin was him. Our fan.
Elgin once again.
Thank you for coming on and telling us, the stuff.
Mm-hmm. My pleasure.
Catch us on the socials at 9 midnight, hopefully. Tell us if you ever saw something creepy or if, you thought you saw my face under the bed. I was trying to be there. And you're welcome. You're protected.
Purely platonic, I swear.
You are safe. I'm here to help.
It's like ish. It's like little monsters. He won't hurt you, but he's definitely going to annoy you.
Howie Mandel, all right? For a guy with germophobia, how did he allow himself to be putting that makeup every day? Good night,
Cocaine's
everyone.
a hell of a drug.
Good night, everyone. Anyway, I'm joking. But we can, stop. Bye, everyone. Bye. And then I hit the stops on everywhere. Now we're not recording. Oh, failed to connect.
Noise.